So this is now what this is going to do is this is going to take us live to an unscheduled thing.
And your attendees just got a notification that it's streaming.
So this
live
is
on
now
YouTube.
what, yeah, and now we're live. But it's not where I said it was going to be. What's that other noise? Is that me?
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. Closing everything. Okay. I'm baffled. I really am. I have to be honest with you. I'm just baffled by this. I intentionally didn't use the app today because we were having such trouble with it. And by the way, I submitted the ticket. I shared the ticket info with a friend of mine over at Zoom, and who put me in touch with the developer of the app. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but I'm hoping to be able to help them. But I mean, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. I don't know. But
Good evening, David. It's good to see you. Let's start off this show since we're live on YouTube.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube, but it's okay. Like, it's okay for people to see that, you know. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Let me make sure that I don't have anything running in the background here. Okay. I'm just thankful that Jason loves my music, stupid or not. Let's say hello to everyone. Welcome to the kitchen, into the kitchen. It's fantastic when things don't work, because that's why we're here. Like, we're here, no, like, genuinely, we're here to figure this stuff out. And again, if it's not working for us, not that like I'm some brilliant Zoomer or something, but I'm not a Zoom dummy. But if it's not working for us, that means that either there's something broken, most likely that I broke, or that there's a way that it could be made better. And that's why we're here. So we have a whole bunch of folks here with us today. Mr. Mike, how are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good. I'm just getting the chat going for everybody. So we officially have 2 people now watching.
Thank you. I appreciate that, as always.
No problem.
As always. And Robert, thank you for coming in. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well today. Thank you, David. Having a good day. And I've also brought in my Mimo Live test machine because I want to test a couple of things during this.
I'd love to see that later. By the way, I was thinking about you the other day because I was watching a video about the UN and live translation, and how oftentimes they will have to have 2 translators between the speaker and the listener. So they'll have one translator who can translate what the speaker is saying into English, say, and then another person translate the English into the language that the listener needs. It was just, it was a fascinating little video, and I was thinking about you.
It's called Relay, and it brings in a certain amount of delay, but that's not the best way to do it if you want the best quality. If you want the best quality, you do what are called pure translation channels. In other words, you always go to one language because you lose something at every hop. That's... Right.
It's just, if you don't have someone who speaks both of the needed languages, then yeah, fascinating.
Correct.
In any case.
Yeah.
Who else is here? Jason, how are you, sir?
Good, thanks. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And is it Hasmuk, I believe, is hiding behind his audio meters. We are so happy you're here, Hasmuk. Frank, sir, how are you?
Good day. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. A lot of stuff in this upcoming release on Monday. Thank you for popping the date in there. I forgot to put that.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, it looks like a nice one. And it's a 0.5, I guess. So that's pretty significant.
What was that?
What? Who, what?
I've moved it to the waiting room. I was waiting for the camera to be switched on. I moved it straight to the waiting room.
Oh, okay. Thank you. After last
so
week.
Don't let that person in, or should I just remove that person completely?
Well, maybe we should just message them and say, hey, please use your real name. I mean, if they're in here,
I
You
did
didn't
already,
see the
David.
video.
You didn't see the video, did you, Dave?
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should just go away.
Okay, sorry.
Do we want
Apologies.
to report them is the question. That's
Well,
really the only question.
that is a question, but let's just okay, wait, this is good. Let's take stock and then we'll keep going with the round. So last week we had this fantastic session on Zoom safety, and we turned on the back end authenticated accounts required, and you can't join from a browser. So it's interesting that we're now seeing someone who apparently meets both of those thresholds and is still.
I would ask when you change your settings in Zoom quite often, it's for all the forward meetings. You sometimes have to go into your existing meetings and manually edit them.
This is not a scheduled meeting. This
Oh,
is
okay.
just yeah, I just started every time. So, yeah. Okay. In any case, we'll keep going around. Let's see. Roland, how are you, sir? Roland is off camera, but are you able to say hello, Roland? Oh,
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're okay. You're always okay.
All right.
It's
to
good to
see
have you here, sir. Good to have you here. And who else is here? Lois. Good to see you, Lois.
Okay, so when I came in and you were doing the thing and whatever, I then went to YouTube to try and watch us. And there is a scheduled meeting for noon, and there are 2 people in there waiting already.
You missed all the fun.
No, I didn't. I
Oh.
didn't miss the fun. But my question is, I know we've got a new one going because I went and looked at that. The one that was scheduled and there's people waiting, is there a way to contact them or tell them that something's going wrong or something else happened?
You could put a chat there. Let me pull up. So again,
Mike
if you're
flailing his hand.
I'm doing it. Go ahead, guys. Continue.
yeah, so you can.
Hello, friends. My name
goodness
is David
gracious, I'm sorry
Paskin.
about
Your
that.
friendly.
Stop talking, me. So you can go to there and put a chat message in, letting them know. And again, I apologize for not knowing why this is not working. It's really, it's just very frustrating and strange. I mean, it's scheduled for the right time.
Is your clock on your computer perhaps off somehow?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's all set up in the same way that every other show that we've done is set up. I actually just copy, I duplicate the event, the live stream. So in order to keep the RTMP information the same. And what's challenging is that in Zoom, when I click custom live streaming at this point, it doesn't even ask me for the RTMP information. It
David?
automatically, yes.
Are you
Hi,
ever
Ray.
live streaming from that same, I assume you're using your PMI. Do you ever live stream from other places for that?
No, this meeting, this account actually is just Zoom Test Kitchen, and we use it once a week on Fridays.
Okay. I would recommend going into the meeting edit mode before the meeting starts and make sure that the custom RTMP information there is deleted, because I believe it retains some of the information from before, and
Right.
I've seen people report that that's an issue.
So let's talk about is that on the back end?
On the back end, on the web portal, you won't be able to go into edit mode now while you're live, but
But we can at least look at where it is.
I
Right.
don't think you can. If you can't click the edit button and it's
No. Understood. But you,
okay.
yeah, but you go into zoom.us, you go to meetings, and then because I'm using the PMI, the personal
Right.
meeting,
Right.
whatever it's called, You go click on personal room, and then under live streaming, and here's the configuration right here. Now I actually can edit it. But again,
But I doubt it will take effect until after
no,
meeting
agreed. Agreed. It won't take effect now, but maybe what I'll do is I'll just, for next week, I'll just, even if it's the same, I'll refresh it. I'll put the information in there, and we'll see.
David, do you have the option there to allow to edit the RTMP before starting streaming? Because that's another option that I use, is that I will go into the meeting, and when I click live stream, it'll come up and say, is this the RTMP? If you've allowed yourself to edit it before starting the stream.
So I don't see an option to configure live stream during the meeting. I guess
That's
that would
it.
be
That's the one you're looking for. It.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So again, this isn't going to take effect now, but I'll go ahead and do that for next time. And so hopefully what that means is that will then pop up. In fact, I wonder if just for, no, I can't. Okay. All right. So we'll try that next week.
And the other thing for troubleshooting, David, from my perspective, if you could securely perhaps copy the RTMP stream and the key that's being used one time, and then next time just copy and paste into the same document and compare character by character
Yeah.
to make sure you're actually getting the same, because if they're different, then that for sure will cause issues.
Yep. And I do know, I am aware, by the way, that this is visible on screen, but I'm going to change it, so it doesn't matter. All right, cool. So I will do that for next week. Thank you, everyone. In fact, I'm going to add to my calendar right now to do that, because if I don't write it down in my calendar, I won't do it.
So I'll finish my introduction. Hi there, I'm Lois Richter. I live in California, and the plums are in. So I
plums?
plums that my trees just loaded. In fact, the neighbors haven't been coming over enough to pick them all. So we have a harvest team of volunteers in the city that you can schedule a harvest for your fruit tree, and they will take it and they will give it to the people who need food. We have a food bank in town. So
that's lovely.
That exists in lots of different places. So I hope if you have fruit, you're having a good time with it. And if you don't, I hope you find somebody that will. Anyway,
we have the same thing with mangoes out here. We have too many mangoes that we don't know what to do with, so we're giving those away. Lovely. Let's see who I don't want to miss anyone, but I am not in gallery view, so let me just look. Mary, are you able to say hello, Mary? If you're not, that's okay. We're saying hello to you, and we're glad that you're here. All right. Mary, feel free to jump in at any time. So, Robert, I don't know if you want to share anything about your Mimo Live testing. You certainly don't have to, but if you wanted to, I actually have a couple questions, which I'd love some help on. They may be simple questions. Did you want to?
I can help you, but I can tell you what I will be testing. I haven't started testing yet because I wanted to say hello to everyone. But the challenge that I've been having in Mimo Live is if I pull in your individual ISO feeds and then create a layout, I only have the audio of the people who are in that layout. Okay. And so if someone shouts out in the background, hey, what about this? It's totally you can't hear him. If you spotlight someone, you can't hear anyone speaking. So I've been putting a sum through into Mimo Live without the ISO audios. But the thing that I've discovered is that the audio is delayed compared to the video, which is really unusual, not the other way around. Because it means that the whole system is actually getting the video through quicker than the audio. So I'm having to delay the video, which is, for me, has been very, very unusual. But there is a mechanism in Mimo Live, and I want to play with it, and that's the test I want to do.
So you're trying to capture gallery audio, as it were, gallery audio as opposed to the people that you have on stage. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Right.
So,
And Mimo Live, like Ecamm, by the way, only captures the audio of the people that you have brought up onto. Yeah. Right.
that's exactly what was happening, and it was a strange situation because I had an interview, and I did a full screen of the person who was talking, and the interviewer went off screen, and he said something, and the person responded, but it was sort of out of context because we didn't hear. I heard it because I was listening to everything, but in the stream, it was completely cut out. So that's what I'm practicing at the moment, and I want to practice rather.
Is that true in Zoom as well? If you spotlight, does it cut out other people?
No. In Zoom, you have the sum. You have all the audio channels added up together, and you get the sum coming out.
We're also working in, I was just talking with the guys at Ecamm about getting the new ZoomISO feature of unique, what's it called? Not active, a unique speaker as opposed to active speaker, which is basically a mix minus for video, which is just a fantastic tool. It's in fact, it's a tool I could have used last night. I had a thing, and it would have been really helpful. But so that and gallery audio are two things that we're hoping for also.
So I think the message here is that you need to be very, very careful and test the audio before you do a live stream. It's really critical, especially when you're using these new tools where you're using an ISO feed. Because you forget that. You're so used to Zoom, where you've got the sum of all the feeds, that we forget about the individual feeds. Yeah. So that's what I'll be testing. But just to give on Zoom itself, I had a big meeting where I used tiles, and I put the rolling, changing people at the beginning. I let everyone in 15 minutes earlier, and everyone was so blasted out of their minds. They were so excited. I didn't have to put the audio on. It just left the music was in the background, but people came popping up, and the chat went overboard.
That's fantastic. Really, you know what? I never thought of it that way. That's actually a great way as almost an icebreaker before the meeting officially starts. Wow, that's lovely.
So that's one of the things. In fact, when Andy was on, I asked him about this, and I said, my question to him was, I can see how we can use this in a hybrid to bring people from outside onto the stage. But how would we use it at the beginning of the meeting? And he mentioned that try this, and it works. It's super, super, super exciting.
I love that.
Robert,
that's such a great idea.
Question about what you were talking about when you had the problem of not hearing the interviewer. And you said something about, but you could hear them, even though nobody else could. Is there an option where you can have coming into your headset only what is going out to the world, so you aren't surprised afterwards?
Okay. My setup is quite complicated. I'm running on 3 machines, and I'm listening in my left ear to the sum, in my right ear what's going out to the stream, just to make sure that I understand.
Yes, it's possible, but you've chosen not to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Robert, a suggestion I would also test too with Mimo Live is bringing everybody in isolated, but having Mimo Live mix the audio.
I've played with that, and are you bringing in tiles now? I've played with that.
You got me.
Good. I've played with that, but what really becomes complicated is in Mimo Live, you don't have a switcher per se, where you're putting people in a preview mode and then moving them across. You have to predefine what you're going to put on stage. So predefining all of those different combinations of audio channels becomes messy. It just becomes messy.
Is that the way that Mimo Live, is that a Mimo Live function that's making it messy? Or is it Zoom, the way Zoom is bringing it into Mimo Live?
Well, the way you do it is I define all of my ZoomISO inputs. and then I take the audio of each of those inputs as a separate definition, and then I've got to say this with this, that with this with that, that with this. So it just becomes too complicated. It's not easy to manage. So what I've been looking at is to get the sum in and an ISO button in case things go wrong, just to cut out any background noise. But I'll tell you what I do, and this Mimo Live is really good with this. I do the ISO recordings at the same time that I do the show, so that if something does get messed up in the stream, and this did happen to me recently, I can take the ISO recordings and rebuild the whole event and patch in all of the missing pieces. And yep.
Okay. You get, because again, with vMix, what you could do is bring the ISO audio in and they become their own channel. And then you can make your own submix that way to be the program, right? So again, if they do talk and unmute themselves, they're an ISO feed, but they're their own audio mixer channel. So in Mimo Live, there is no equivalent? Or
there is the equivalent, but even in that situation, Mike, you need to be able to decide who you're going to put into the sum on the output. Which audio you have to keep mixing it to get the right output.
As people join and leave, it becomes problematic.
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. As people join and leave. Okay, that would be different. No, I was thinking more where you had dedicated speakers that were in the meeting the whole time. Okay.
That would be manageable. That would be easier. Yes.
Robert?
Yeah.
I'm not using, I've got an older Mac and I'm not using tiles at this point, but my question is, when you're showing that entire view, are you using screen share as an output, or are you spotlighting your own video and feeding the tiles into your video stream?
No, I have the running on a second Mac Mini and putting it in through an ATEM Mini and then just selecting that channel to go out.
Okay.
So here's
so I only yep, go for it.
right. So here's you could do a screen like this where you know, it's music is playing in the background and you just everyone say hello, whatever, that kind of thing. Although look at Ray, there's something weird going on.
What is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is, and it's only on your video feed.
Yeah,
that's got to be something with the
because I'm
NDI.
Windows instead of Mac. I don't know.
Oh, it's Microsoft's fault.
Yeah,
Maybe
It's
it's
with
a green screen thing because his shirt and the wood behind him are almost the same color.
Actually, not just that, but Mike, your red is gone also. It's keying out your red. I
His
wonder.
face is still red.
No. Sorry, his red background. I mean, he's got a red background. It's the NDI out is not as clean as it could be. That's okay. Whatever. That's cool. That's very fun. Yeah, Lois.
So in the chat, Mary Faith wrote to me and I wrote back, and she has a question. And it is, when will they add a request for like a Zoom control for my iPad or computer? And then she clarifies, where you can control other people's computer. I don't understand the question, but maybe you do.
Well, that already exists in Zoom. You can already reach
remote
in.
control.
Yeah, and control someone else's computer using this tool called remote control. This is a comment on YouTube?
No, this is a private message to me in the chat.
Okay.
Here.
So if you can tell us more about what you're looking for, remote control can do that. Do any of you use remote control? I've never really used it.
So Mary, can you unmute yourself and explain a little more? I think we're a little confused.
Oh, how can I do it on my iPad? RDP. Those are the initials that I use. Rabbi David Paskin. Thank you, Frank. So this is not you can't do it on your iPad. It's not in mobile unless someone feel free to correct me.
Are you talking about normal in-app remote control, or are you talking about using the add-in from the marketplace?
The add-in from the marketplace, that's about audio and video, correct? That's
Right,
just about,
right,
yeah.
right,
So I
right.
think if we're understanding correctly, what she's talking about is actually taking control of someone's desktop.
Right.
And that,
So,
yeah.
so I put the chat or in the chat the URL for requesting or giving remote control, and the prerequisites say Zoom desktop for Windows, Mac OS, or Linux, Zoom mobile app for iOS, iPad only. So it should be able to be used on the
Interesting.
iPad. And there's a how to use remote control on desktop and also the iOS section. So there's something that you probably have to read in there, Mary, and see if that helps you.
I actually don't see it under my more message. Excuse me, my more options. I don't see remote control.
It's got to be enabled, I think.
Yeah, I think I have everything enabled, but maybe I don't. That's a good question though. So it should work on iPad. I guess I could try and join this meeting from my iPad. I have it right here. Let's
So
see.
the remote control is only during screen sharing?
Oh, so someone needs to be screen sharing.
So you're not controlling their computer. You're
Yeah, no,
controlling
you are.
the view of what's happening with their screen share, right?
No, you have control over their computer.
So I could go in and leave Zoom for them, or
It's a good question.
turn off their phone, or make phone, make.
I mean, you can't, right. I mean, you can't cook dinner for them through it, but yes, you can do
But if
lots
I
of
could
other
go
things.
in and send email messages or something, you're saying that all of that stuff is possible through a Zoom screen share control.
But it's only sorry, does this not apply to the app in Zoom alone? I'm not sure that this applies to the whole of the computer. I've never used it for the whole of the computer. I've done it just to do the audio settings for someone. So I got into the Zoom app. Maybe you could just try it out here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm just setting up Frank, do you want to just jump in?
I put a link in the chat that shows the feature comparison between the different Zoom clients. So the desktop client for Windows and Mac is the most full featured. When you start to use other devices, you don't get all the same functionality. So for iOS or Android, you don't get every feature that you get in the desktop client. So if you go to the link that I've put in the chat, the third column is iOS. You have to scroll down a bit, and it has notes about request remote control in iOS and give remote control. You can't give remote control from an iOS device, and you can request remote control, but there's a little asterisk or whatever, note C. If you join the meeting on an iOS or Android device, you can't request remote control or give remote control. The participant who is screen sharing with the Zoom desktop client must give you remote control. So go look into that. But I mean, just understand that when you're not on a real computer, like you don't get all the functionality that you get in the desktop application.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So I'm screen sharing right now, even though it looks like it's me. I am screen sharing, and in my you can't see this, but I click on my more menu up at the top of the screen share bar, and the last option I have says remote control. So I'm going to go ahead and I clicked on that, and then I have a few different options here. It says auto accept all requests, share clipboard, and then it says give mouse or keyboard control to, and then it has a list of everyone in here. So Robert, may I give you control over my computer?
Faith. Yes, Faith.
Yes, please, David.
Okay, so I'm going to click Robert. So Robert, I've now given Robert control over my computer, and God help me.
Truly an international collaboration here.
God will also
Okay,
always help you.
To be very honest, I don't see anything happening from my end.
So it says waiting for Robert to control your screen on my end.
And I have nothing to say that I can control your screen. Let me look.
How
Maybe
many-
I've got a window missing. Just 1 second, please.
How many screens do you have going, Robert? Maybe.
Okay.
He said he had 3 computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it, David.
Oh, okay.
Talk us through it, Robert. What are you doing?
Okay. I was trying to figure out what I was meant to do to tell you. I have a window open now, and it is the window with David and Paskin, his clock in the left-hand corner, and the window we can see, and that he's sharing. And I have a little message here. You can control David Paskin, and I can't see the rest of that message. And I'm moving my mouse around, and I don't know if anything is happening at your end.
No, move a
I
window
don't
or
want to
something.
move a window.
Yeah.
It's true
Oh,
that
wait,
the
I see
mouse
it now.
on his
I see it.
screen
I
did
see it.
move.
There
Oh,
we
yeah,
go.
there you
Yes.
go.
There we go.
The latency is so bad that it's
Really?
sort of awkward for me to move, but it does work.
Well, you're going
So-
data center to data center, so.
This is also, I also want to say this is complicated by the fact that I also have multiple screens. And so I don't actually know if I don't know what he can see, if he can see just one screen or two but yeah, oh God.
Oh,
You turned pink. What happened?
I didn't, it's all Robert's fault at this point.
I know.
No,
Right.
what happened in the background? Oh, sorry. I don't know. I saw you turn pink, but I didn't do anything. So,
Okay.
I think you two are just too complicated for
No, but
understanding this.
no, but you know what? Let's actually, Lois, I want to test what you were saying before. Can you open apps for me? Like, could you open, I don't know, my browser app in the menu bar at the bottom?
okay,
Or
just
can you-
1 minute, please. I'm in the Zoom workplace at the moment. I don't see your browser app at all. Everything's gone away. As you can see, I've clicked that.
So you don't see my
Finder.
menu bar. You can only access what's on my screen. it sounds
Go to the
like.
Apple menu and you should have recent applications.
Oh yeah, good call.
Okay, it's this. You guys seem to be seeing it before I see it because I can
We
hear
do.
you shouting it out, and I
We're in
don't
the
see it
same
yet.
country. Aren't you in Europe right now, Robert?
Yes, I'm in Europe. Maybe someone who's in
Long
the States
way.
should do it.
No, this is great. Go ahead and open something.
A QuickTime player is something I
Sure.
can open.
I have no idea.
Okay.
See there, look at that. He has access to my files and everything.
Okay,
Wow.
so it's complete control. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is a good exercise to have done, David. Thank you.
But
You can take it away.
the crux in all of that is that screen sharing has to be active. So
Yes.
it's not like apparently I can just go, hey, David, take control of my computer. We first have to initiate a screen share, and that's the mechanism for things to travel back and forth.
How do you think
Now
that's
that the screen share's not on, can he still control him?
No.
No?
No. No.
When
I've got
when-
nothing to see or control.
Yeah.
Lois.
when the control thing was happening, David, did you have something there that said stop him?
No.
Or Robert, did you have something that said give up control?
No, but I believe if David went into the screen share menu, there's an option down there to stop.
And the way I stopped in Lois is I stopped the share.
Stop screen share, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's quicker than going into the menu.
Uh-huh.
Now, from an administrative point of view, I have a question for Frank. How do you disable that?
Account management, account settings, if you want to wipe it out for the whole global, like everybody. Because it is a security risk, right?
How do you think that's working?
Only when you use it.
How is it? How is that? Like, how are they using? How does screen share allow someone to control your computer? That's crazy.
That's not new
I think the way
technology.
they
That's
No.
that's old.
It is.
Yeah.
It's RDP. It's some form of RDP,
What's RDP?
remote desktop protocol.
Sorry, the thing you put in for. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Well,
been
they-
around
So the
Windows a
real
long time.
issue-
Cisco's had it for a long time.
Yeah.
But in Zoom, there's another setting. Frank, correct me if you're wrong. depending upon how you have breakouts set up in a meeting, and because it prompts you if you go to make a change, it prompts you like, okay, well, you can have breakouts, or you can do the sharing of control. It almost configures it like a support setup versus a meeting with a breakout setup.
Yeah, there's you're on the right track, I think. There's lots of things in Zoom where if you pick one option in the settings, it means you can't have another option. And I'm pretty sure remote control is one of those things, like you say.
So I occasionally use an app called Screen Connect to remotely control other computers. And the real thing there is you have to have an app on the other end, and they get to say yes or no, can you actually use it or not. But the thing that's not missing when you do that is you get a full screen view of what their computer looks like. So when you're in Zoom, not seeing a screen share, as Robert said, when I don't see a screen share, I don't have anything to control. So that's why screen share is sort of central to this. And then once you have the screen share, that and I'm assuming, David, maybe you have multiple screens and you only share to the one screen. He couldn't go foraging over to another screen and control over there, just the one that you were screen sharing.
Until he chooses to go into my preferences and just mirror all the screens, which will give him a
Sure.
So I'm wondering if I were screen sharing and just sharing portion of screen instead of the entire computer, which is what I usually do, would that limit your access to just that portion of the screen? Or would you still be able to go beyond that, even though you couldn't see it on a normal share?
I could change that setting because I can change the screen share setting.
While the screen share is working?
I would have thought so. I don't know. Just try again. I don't know if I see the...
So he's sharing a portion of the screen right now, right, David?
Can hear
He's
you.
got his microphone off.
Oh, sorry. Just to be clear, I didn't actually do portion of screen. Is that I did a window?
Specific window. Yeah.
Do you want me to do a window or a portion of
Well,
screen?
let's do both. This
Okay.
one's also a valid test, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
So here I am, and remote control. And I'm going to get, this time I'll get Lois. I'm going to give you control.
Okay.
So now you should get a pop-up.
I got a message. It said, you can now control David Paskin and use his keyboard layout, fit to window, stop remote control. It's my keyboard layout. Okay, so I am looking around and I'm not seeing anything that is other than the thing you're sharing. Let me see. There's a little.
See if you can click on that thing.
Okay, can you see annotations now?
Yes.
Okay.
But don't annotate. That's you don't want to annotate. Everyone can annotate. I gave you control.
Well, I know, I'm just, but that's what I'm telling you. I'm looking at what I can see. And right now, what I can see is very little. I can't move that.
Can you click on on one of the buttons, like where it says green screen? Can you click on that button?
No, the button doesn't exist.
It's great help for us.
These buttons.
No, there you go.
Oh,
You
wait
just
a
did
minute. Wait a minute. It did, but I can't get out of this. How can I get to?
No, so that answers your question. Is that when you share a portion of, or when you share when you share a window, the only thing you have access to is that window.
Yep, that's what it looks like.
So now now I'm going to stop the share, and now I'll do portion of screen, and let's see, this is a great test. Let's do portion of screen. I'm going to share again, and I'm going to choose.
Wait, David, before
Yes,
you
please.
choose someone,
Yeah.
do your share. Can you just
So we
start
can
your share?
What? I'm sorry. What?
Start your share.
Well, I have to choose something to share first.
Yeah.
Where's portion of screen? That's what I'm looking for. Sorry. Portion of screen is under advanced.
Mhm.
So then I click share, and now I can move this around, and I'm going to choose just kind of
I'm going to request remote control from you.
Okay. So now I've shared something. By the way, this is live, so I can change what I'm sharing live.
Right.
So
The little green box.
Right. So I haven't gotten any requests yet.
Who is it who's trying to request?
Ray said he was going to request.
I made the request. I don't know whether it's.
I got it.
All right, cool.
But you can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to approve.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Um,
Now, can you get out of this bounding box? So that was kind of in, kind of out. Can you go really out?
no,
Yeah.
the cursor changes when I go outside
Okay,
of that.
just so you know, you are on my screen. You're out though. Keep going over.
So if you
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
talked him into it, talked him around it, he could
Right.
perhaps grab something.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Ray, on your screen, it changes from an arrow to what?
Well, it changes from my sort of default arrow, which is kind of large and kind of yellow because everything I do has some yellow to it, to just a little tiny black arrow. So it's a different formatted arrow. And as I moved over from the boundary of what could have been the full share window into sort of that border region of Zoom, it changed from black to yellow.
So David, are you doing that move?
Yeah, that was me. That was me moving the share window. Yeah. Or the portion of screen, I should say.
So the portion of screen.
Oh, wait. Did you just
That's
open
me.
that?
It was it was there.
It was there. I just dragged it. It was
I'm
like
sorry.
over there.
Okay.
And I went, whoop.
I wonder if you.
So
But again, you can't.
Ray.
No, sorry. Wait a second. 1 second. Hold on, Lois. So, Robert was able to go up to my menu bar. Are you able to go up to the menu bar?
I don't.
Can't see it.
I can't see it. I might be able to go
Move
up
back
there.
over to the right. Move back over to the right just a little. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. Click.
I'm clicking.
Oh,
Nothing's
okay.
happening.
So that's my mute button. So that did. So outside of that's interesting. The mouse will go outside of the box, but it doesn't. Apparently, it's not active outside the box.
So
Yeah.
maybe it is. Maybe it is. If you you're on a Mac, right, David?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So Ray, if you move your cursor as far up and as far left as you can go, that should put you in a corner, and that should activate whatever he has as activation, whether it's the screensaver or blackness or whatever.
Oh wait, did you just click?
No, I did not click, but I went from inside your boundary to outside your boundary.
No. So if stop right there. So go back to your left a little bit. So right now on my screen, you're hovering over my. In the Zoom participants panel over my icon, and when you hover there, my contact card popped up for me.
Okay, so my arrow has turned back to yellow, indicating I'm in my space, not yours. But Zoom's remote control thinks that I'm in the far upper left corner of yours.
Yeah.
And if I come back in over here, yeah.
This is fascinating, but I don't see where it gets us very far.
Well,
no,
where it gets
The
us
usefulness
is
of it, you know.
if you have someone who really does have some system issues, and you can share screen and help them out from afar.
If they can share their computer when they're sharing screen.
Well, if they open up Zoom and share screen and then allow you to have remote control, you can do anything on their computer that you can do with a mouse.
But when they do that, when they do share screen, you want to tell them, use the thing, go to the basic tab, use the thing in the upper left-hand corner, so you are sharing your entire computer screen. Because if we're in one of those things where it's just a window or it's a portion of screen, then the person who's coming in isn't going to be able to see enough to
Well,
help them out.
on
I would be very
on one level,
surprised.
I agree with you, Lois, but the reality is that most people only ever share their full screen, and those that know how to share parts of screen and so forth kind of know a little bit
Yeah,
more
I was just
technical
going to say,
typically.
I would be very surprised if
Yeah,
you're helping someone on their computer, I doubt they know how to get to advanced sharing and
portion of screen is not something most people use. However, a lot of times
the windows.
people will say, I want to show you this picture, and they'll have the picture showing. When they go to share, they don't share the thing in the upper left-hand corner, which is the whole computer. They click on the picture, and therefore you're seeing that one window. That's what
Yep.
I'm trying to say.
Yep, fair enough. Absolutely.
Hello, Dan.
There are much better remote desktop software applications than Zoom out there if that's what you spend a lot of time doing.
If one were trying to help one person do one thing, this is a reasonable method. Frank, what would you recommend as a better method for someone who doesn't understand computers very much?
I wouldn't. They'd probably break your computer.
No, me fixing their thing.
Well, I mean, it's built into, I think Mac and Windows both have remote desktop built in, but there's stuff like Splash Top, there's TeamViewer. If you Google it, you're going to find 50 different ones.
So you think I can just, if they've got a Mac, I can just do it straight without Zoom?
If you know how.
I'll tell you, Lois, what I do, and this is maybe this is a little bit of the educator in me, if there is any. I don't want to fix the problem for them. I want to show them how to do it and have them do it. And so we will very often jump into Zoom, and then they'll screen share. But then I want their muscle memory for, click here, go there, touch that, whatever. So I have them do it, and I'm able to just walk them through it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like my mom lived in a different city than me, and it was just easier one time when I went there to set up remote desktop on her computer. And then when she had tech problems, I could just fix them for her instead of hopping on an airplane, because she was never going to, she didn't care enough to learn that much.
Fair enough.
And that's where I am with I hear what you're saying, David, and I agree with you with people who are going to learn. But I have a couple of clients, friends that just are never going to get it ever. So I hear what Frank's saying too. I think he's right too.
By the way, is anyone hearing a little bit of slapback or something?
I think it was coming from Lois.
Is it all Lois?
Is it going away now?
I heard it when Frank was
Not
talking.
sure. Yeah, I heard it when Frank was talking also. I'm not complaining about it. I was just curious where it may be coming from. Can I ask a question about recording in Zoom? So I had a thing I was doing this week. And it's on me because she asked me, she wanted the best quality recording. And what I should have said from the get-go is record locally, not through Zoom. Just use a third part, whatever, record
OBS.
locally on your computer, send that to me, and then I'll splice that in with the other stuff with Zoom. I didn't do that, but that's fine. I fixed that. But we wanted to have multiple recordings. So the first thing that I had forgotten about is that as soon as you initiate a cloud recording, you cannot do a local record. It's just like, you just can't do it.
No,
A host or co-host can't.
No, the same person. Right. So if someone right now, so if I were to, we could probably test this, right? Maybe I'm wrong about it. Am I wrong about that?
But aren't we streaming? Doesn't that count as recording?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, David, I've done some testing in this area. It's
Yeah.
been a while, and software at Zoom has changed a little bit, but I don't think this has changed. And that is that if you, as a host or co-host, want to have both a cloud and a local recording, if you initiate the local recording first and then start the cloud recording, I believe that possibility will continue. But as soon as you go to stop either recording, both will stop.
So that wasn't my experience. So my experience was, the first part was absolutely. So what I ended up doing, because I had two machines in the meeting, is I started Actually, what I did is I started a local record from this machine, and then I started a cloud record from another co-host machine that I had. And this was my second question was actually about stopping recording, because then what I ended up with at the bottom of my screen was, well, actually, let me do this. I'm going to so I'm enabling recording. So now let me just show everyone. So what I just did, all I did was I went up and I said, I want a local record. So now I've lost the ability to do a cloud recording. It's not, it doesn't even show up here. All I can do is pause, stop, or start. So now if I were to go over to my other computer and start a cloud recording, record, cloud. So now I'm recording to the cloud. Now, what's interesting is if I hit stop here,
Kills it all.
I don't think so. I think,
Yes.
see, look, no,
Cloud recording survived. Yeah.
it only stops the cloud recording.
I see the cloud recording is still active. If you
No,
look in the
I haven't-
participant window.
no, I haven't stopped it yet. Look at my window. So I click down here. Now, again, this is the machine down here that I started the local record from. Okay. I start a local record here. I start a cloud record on a different machine. Now the stop button on the local record machine says, do I want to stop cloud recording? I actually lose control of the local record. So now if I stop this recording,
Goes away. Yeah.
now that's done. I can't stop. The local record is still going. And it stops
It's not.
when the meeting stops.
It's not going. If you look at your participants list, there's no red buttons.
Yes, there is
my-
PTG tiles. PTG tiles
No, but
still
that doesn't
has
count.
a red circle.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Okay. So David, a couple of things here. One is that you are absolutely right that one person, one instance cannot start both things. But if someone starts a local recording, someone else, and then someone else who's a host or co-host starts a cloud recording, that cloud recording is attached to the owner of the meeting, not to whoever started it. And so
Right.
then all of those are going, and you'll see that if you look at the participants list, all the hosts are now flashing red lights because they don't have any more options once the cloud recording is going. That make sense?
They don't have any. What do you mean they don't have any more options?
You have to start your local recordings before the cloud recording, because once the cloud recording is going, a host or co-host cannot start a local meeting. Now, I don't know if someone who's not a host or co-host could start a local recording. I don't think so.
Yes.
No,
They can. They
don't
they
think-
can.
I don't
After
think
the
they can.
cloud
Independent
recording is
non-co-hosts.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
I don't think they can, because isn't that why ZoomISO? Jason is requesting to record to their computer, but hold on a second, Jason, because I'm not recording to the cloud. So I'm going to decline that, Jason, but then ask me again. Okay.
Just because you give permission doesn't mean he has to start it now.
Oh, okay. So now I'm recording to the cloud. By the way, Lois, thank you. I was wrong. You're absolutely correct. The local record did stop. I apologize, because I can see it. It hasn't converted yet, but I do see it here. All right. So now Frank is requesting, and Jason is requesting, and Lois is requesting.
Everybody
So
record.
This better be a really, really good segment of the show, because everyone's recording. So let
But
us
we
know
have
if you're
permission
able
to record. That doesn't mean they're doing it.
Jason's recording. I can see in the participant list. Jason's recording locally.
Jason, can you confirm that for us? Yes. He has a
And
thumbs
Lois.
Just
up.
confirm,
Yep.
Jason
Yep.
is not a co-host.
Yep.
And
Neither
Frank.
is lowest.
Interesting.
Now, you don't have anything valuable. If I stop recording for me, I don't know what's going to happen to everybody else. Is it okay if I stop recording for me?
Yeah, of course. Nothing. That won't affect anyone. I also stopped the cloud
Now-
recording.
Now, if you look at the thing, when I said stop recording, all those little red dots went away.
I had already stopped.
Okay.
No,
But
no,
now that's
Lois.
interesting.
I have my local recording and it's still going.
Yeah, and I have one also. If you scroll down in the list, you'll see two people.
Now, this
still.
feature I use a lot because I'll have a second machine come in as my confidence monitor, my attendee mirror, as I call it. You know, so that lets me know what attendees are seeing, and then I'll run a local recording on it.
Mhm.
And that'll give me a high definition, clean recording of what happened in the meeting.
Have you
So
got
the issue
that
there,
up?
Jason, if I remember correctly, is that you can't do that if you're an attendee for a webinar, correct? You can't allow a webinar attendee to local record.
No.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. The host can allow an attendee at a webinar to record locally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never looked at it or tried it. So
You have to, of course, you have to make sure that you have, what's that blue button called? Start broadcast. There's a blue button that essentially, if you're not using backstage view, all this terminology of these different platforms. The recently added functionality in Webinar of where you can hang out backstage with your
backstage, right?
Right. Okay. So if you don't have that or don't use that, and the host comes in, the co-host comes in, anyone that got a panelist invite comes in, as the host or co-host, there's a blue button on the top that
Start webinar.
It should say start webinar, but for a while it was labeled like something else. So until you click that blue button, your attendees are still waiting in the waiting room. And
Correct.
if you have your second machine, you're as an attendee, they're waiting in there. And it's not until it comes in that you then grant permission to that machine, go to that machine, and then start the local recording.
Frank, jump on in.
Slightly related topic. Zoomtopia is about 3.5 months away. Where's our double-ender recordings? They promised at last Zoomtopia. And
Yeah, it'll
if
be
anyone,
next year, Frank.
yeah, and if anyone from Zoom's listening, a lot of us would really like to be able to record breakout rooms to the cloud.
Yeah. Real quick, double-ended recording though, hold on a second, sorry. If I record a Zoom meeting locally and I also record it using another app, I'm not sending anything, the quality in the other app is still going to look better than the Zoom local record of me.
I guess depends on
Why?
the bit rate that lots of screen recording apps can record in ProRes. I mean, sure.
Well, I'm asking because if you want to get the highest quality, I'm still not convinced that end-to-end recording within Zoom would give you the best quality.
It's not necessarily going to be the best recording quality, but it would definitely be a useful tool for a lot of people who do podcasts and stuff to have a local record from both sides, and then Zoom collects both of them and gives access to the host somehow. That would be very useful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think what's important here, David, is that the host will decide for someone to record locally instead of having to instruct someone on how to set up the local record.
Right. Right.
Fred has his hand up.
Hey, David, good to see you or hear you or whatever. It's been a long time. I've always been working. Today I took a half day off because I'm getting ready to go to Stanford to work the Olympics. So
Oh, wow.
I had time to catch your show. Anyway, talking about sound recording, does the original sound feature being turned on help the fidelity of the recording? Because I know it helps end to end. If you turn on original sound, you can't, like I couldn't do what I'm doing right now speaking into my webcam. You have to have a microphone and headphones. Otherwise, it basically turns off the auto mix minus when you turn on original sound.
Right. So my understanding of original sound is that it's going to be what you get out of Zoom with original sound is going to be as good as what you put into Zoom, because it essentially is saying we're not going to take care of anything. We're not going to fix anything for you. So the first thing that almost always happens with folks when they turn it on is their volume goes down of whatever mic they're using, because Zoom
Correct,
has
because
been
they're giving you more headroom for those transients. They're not
and Zoom has been, well, Zoom has been artificially,
Pushing it up.
boosting it up. So is it going to be higher fidelity? I guess it depends on the kind of mic and the kind of system that you're using.
You were talking about having the best quality recording on Zoom. To me, turning on original sound would give you the best quality.
Audio.
I'm not sure. I don't, maybe. I'm not an audiophile, so I'm probably not. I'd love to hear what someone else thinks about this. I tell folks 99% of the time, just let Zoom do its work. Let Zoom take care of your audio for you, because we don't know what we're doing. If I'm playing music, that's one thing. If I'm playing a guitar, that's one thing. If I have an outboard mix, if I have a mixing board, that's one thing. But I don't know. Do you think it would be better, Ray?
Well, wasn't that the original question, or did I get that wrong?
Thank you, blah blah blah, from the waiting room. Sorry. So yes, that was the original question. And I want to thank you for raising your aspect of it, because I was not even thinking about the audio. I was thinking about the video. She was looking at, and I should have clarified that. So thank you, Fred. She was looking at the video quality and what she was able to get recording locally in Ecamm, for example, was just much better. In fact, I mean, I can.
Well, don't you have to have one of those? Don't you have to have a 1080p account in order to record the highest you can locally if you have a 1080p camera?
I don't think so. I think, let me jump in here for a moment, David.
Please.
I have people on the Zoom community a lot who go, the stream output doesn't look like the output that I have on my screen. And we've had some combination of Andy or somebody talk about that there are multiple renderers within the Zoom engine, and one of them pushes out what you get to see on your screen, and the one that builds the stream layout is something different. Now, what I don't know, but I submit as a possibility, is that the thing that creates the stream output is yet another renderer, which is, I think, as most of us know, is sort of spitting things out into a very large file that later has to be reprocessed, pulled apart. It's like transporting in Star Trek. You take all the molecules and transport them and put them together somewhere else. And you get a couple of MPG or MP4 files and an audio file and some other stuff. And so what I think is that the thing that does the local recording, the question I have is, where is it getting its audio? Which audio track is it using? Is it using the audio after you've pulled out all of the Zoom check marks and uncheck marks on audio, or is it getting the raw audio? I think it's the processed audio that would be sent out over your internet connection. But if your internet connection is bad, people won't hear it properly.
I guess that's possible. I just remember from one of the other Zoom groups, I think it was Jeff Keppe's group, where they had a sponsor that somehow got them a 1080p. Maybe it's office hours. For all of you in office hours, is it John Middleston? I see you on your face on the screen here. Isn't office hours a 1080 deal? They pay a special deal to have it different than regular Zoom.
But that's transmitted, and we're talking about what's done locally on a recording, and what's locally on a recording, I think, isn't dependent on whether or not you have permission to transmit 720 or 1080p.
Well, I guess it just depends on where the recording's pulling it from, like you said. If it's pulling it locally, then it should get as good as you give it.
So let me just
like the original sound would get as good as you get it, but.
So let me show you an example, and then I know, Robert, you wanted to jump in, and then I'll get Lois. So just so bear in mind that you're looking at this through another computer, but so this is the recording from a local record from within Zoom. And again, we're just looking at the video quality. And then this is a recording that she did locally in her computer that I spliced in.
Could you spotlight that so we could see it better?
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. Where am I? There we go. Sorry. So again, this is Zoom.
Yeah, you can tell the books, you can't even read what the books are in the back.
And
when
this
it
is
switches, your resolution comes up a little bit.
Zoom.
Is
And
that
different.
Is that Zoom local and then done outside of Zoom? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Zoom local is, sorry, I have to go back here. Zoom local, and then I had her record locally in Ecamm, and then I just spliced it together. So in any case,
yeah.
And what we were trying to get was that better quality, and even the Zoom local. So in any case, sorry, Frank, give me 1 second. Let me get Robert, and then Lois, and then Frank. Go ahead.
Now, my experience is slightly different because when I've asked people to do local recordings and I'm referring to audio now, the audio that is recorded is oh, just a minute. I think someone is trying to spam us because, oh, my Mimo Live recorder rebooted for some odd reason. Okay. No, it didn't. That is not what a good user. There's someone who's trying to get in pretty hard into here, and he's used one of our users over here, the Mimo Live, to try and get in. That's not me. Don't let him in. Okay. My experience is that when I've asked someone to do a local recording, the audio is the quality of the audio that as it is set in Zoom. So whatever is set in Zoom is what is recorded locally by Zoom. That's my experience. So you won't get the raw audio being recorded locally. You'll get the process audio with the settings that you have in the Zoom for that person who's recording locally.
Including stereo versus mono.
Correct.
So sorry, you just used a word, Robert, and that was the word that I was missing, raw. What when Zoom does a local record, I don't think that's a raw local record
Correct.
of your video. And that's, I think, yeah, okay. Lois and Frank, thank you.
Okay, so I want to be clear about this. I'm not a high-tech person, but I have learned how to use the statistics feature on the settings in Zoom. And I can go on and I can have that over there and watch what's happening. And my computer will not be putting out a high-level, high-resolution, big number unless someone is calling for that as a speaker view or a spotlight view or something, and they're calling for more, and then it'll jump up. But it doesn't jump up unless somebody calls for it. So I'm wondering if recording automatically calls for it. And I don't think so. I don't think it does that. So yeah, as far as whether or not your recording in a separate camera would be better than your Zoom camera, you know, that depends on your setup, I think. You said she recorded the other in Ecamm.
Yeah, and it was significantly better. I have a feeling, Lois, that, so I'm thinking about in cloud recording, how you can say, you know, please give me a speaker view or this view or that view. If you say, I want speaker view, then isn't that requesting the highest quality?
I think there's a setting for compatible for editing that would probably give you a higher quality.
There's a setting that for compatible for
Video editing for
that's news. Hold on a second.
Well, cloud recording is always smaller than recording locally, isn't it? That's what
What thing is smaller, Lois?
the cloud recording. has fewer pixels wide than the local recording. I have a friend who does this, 3 times a week, and the backup is the local recording, but she also records it to the cloud so she can easily share it. And boy, the difference is amazing. It's so much better locally.
Frank, please help us out here.
I hate guessing. I'm not a big fan of guessing. So let's take the scenario that you said, David, but let's also include that both people have identical computers with same hardware. What I would do as a test is I would do the local recording and the cloud recording. I would download the cloud recording and I would use an app like Media Info, which will tell you all the specific details about each media file. And then you could get solid numbers about bit rate, audio bit rate, video specs, everything. That's what I would do if you really want to know.
Sounds like it's homework for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had mentioned Media Info actually either last week or the week before. I was talking about that as well. It's a tool that I've been using for years. Media Info.
Somebody just dropped the answer in the chat.
Recording resolution, Ray did.
So this is what Zoom says you're going to get in both a local and cloud recording. Whether, I don't know if your mileage may vary, but maybe it does.
Yeah, so what you would do, David, if you do have a local recording that you did, and it'll save itself as an MP4. Once you've installed Media Info on your PC or Mac or Linux, you can actually get all the detailed information within the file. And it actually will tell you specifically what specifically is in that file, no matter what Zoom says in their support documents.
All right, well, let's just give Zoom the benefit of the doubt for the moment. So local record, let me do this. Sorry, I keep forgetting. So local record, 2 more participants, video turned on, camera HD not enabled. Well, okay, we're gonna kind of, I'm gonna skip that because I think most of us are gonna have group HD enabled. 1 participant, video turned on, 2 participants, 3 or more participants. And here's one of the key things, this full screen thing. Look at this, even gallery view matters. Do we need to get that person out? Are we good? Are we good? No
Go ahead,
talking.
David. I'm watching her. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, we should just say goodbye and thank you. This I didn't realize. Gallery view matters. How many people you have in the gallery view? Apparently that matters. So it says here, if you have less than 25 people and all the HD stuff is enabled, less than 25 people, group HD is enabled, gallery view up to 25, you get 720p. If your gallery view is greater than 25, then you get 1080. And then here's, if you're screen sharing, it's entirely dependent on the resolution of what you're sharing, of what you're able to share. If the resolution
titles at the top of that screen again, I'm a little lost. Okay,
Yeah,
local recording, cloud recording, and the resolution of recorded video. So it's only telling you the resolution of the recorded video once, even though it's got both local and cloud recording.
Yeah, I guess that means it's the same for both.
Mm,
All things considered, if this is true over here on the local side, and if this is true on the cloud side, then this is the resolution you're getting.
If it's really important that you have high resolution, you could Zoom's going to record in MP4 and H.264, but there are screen recorders you can buy that will record in different codecs. like ProRes, that you could record locally and you'll get better fidelity.
Where is, you said before something about recording for editing?
Yeah, in your cloud recording settings. It has to be enabled globally on the account setting, and then you go to your personal settings,
Yeah,
recording, cloud recording,
yeah.
and then in that big list of what do you want to record, gallery, separate, whatever one of them will say, editing.
Optimize. Yeah. Look at that.
It's also on the local recording as well.
Is
Sure.
it? Optimize the recording for third-party video. So what does that do? Let's see what that does. Enable this option to ensure compatibility of the recording file by Zoom with video editing software you can use to modify the. This will increase both the file size and the time it will take to generate the recording of the file. It doesn't really tell us what it's doing though.
Well, I'm assuming it's making a higher quality file.
Huh. Okay. I should click that. I'd like high quality files. Okay, so we don't have to dwell on this.
David, get your credit card ready. You're going to have huge cloud recording files. Huge.
Yeah,
Well, I don't record
that's an
anything to this
important
account, so don't
that's
worry.
important to note. Thank
Yeah,
you for
it
saying that,
is.
Robert. Like, don't do that if you have limited cloud storage and you don't want to pay extra.
Yeah.
But it's worth it if you're recording locally. It gives you a much better recording.
Depends what you're doing with these recordings too. Like, if you're just sharing a recording with someone because they did make it to the meeting, great, you don't probably need that. But if you're actually going to take this into post-production and try to use it, and you want to use it in a non-linear editing software, then you probably want the higher quality.
That option is only available for me under cloud though. It's not available for me under record to computer files.
Under recording on your
I think it is.
client settings.
I'm here in the back end where I
No,
just turned it on for cloud.
this would be on the regular app settings file. Yeah, app.
The
Not there, but on your desktop app.
Yeah. Yep. Oh goodness, sorry.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Or
Here we
on
go.
your
It's an upside
settings
down
when
curve.
you're in a meeting, that will get there too.
So
Here we
recording.
go. Recording.
Down, right there.
Come on. There it is.
Yep.
Computer recording optimized for well, that we should definitely check. Okay.
As long as your computer is not running out of room.
Right. And I will say, for what it's worth, the file that she sent me of her local recording eCam was like 31 gigabytes. It was ridiculous. So yeah, it takes up.
What was the codec though? Was it .mov? What was it?
It was .mov.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So MP4 would have been smaller.
Yeah, because it's compressed.
But the quality would have suffered also.
Yeah. Now, again, David, too, it also depends on, and again, sorry, I've been busy killing spammers and stuff. Make sure too that again, you had a recording in eCam, correct?
Yeah.
So again, you'd have to make sure that in eCam, you would say what specific, or if you can, say what specific audio and video codecs that you can use,
right,
and what format to save it to, right?
Yeah, in that one, in this case, you can choose MOV or MP4, one of the two. Yeah.
MOV is the container though. What's the codec? So is it ProRes? Is it something else?
Right.
It says
Well,
MOV
ProRes,
or MP4.
ProRes equals big. How's that for you?
Let me also ask, what camera is she using and what output resolution is it capable of using?
Right. She's using an iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is as good.
Why doesn't she do the local recording on her iPhone? It's probably higher quality than her webcam, like.
Can't do a local recording on an iPhone.
No, I mean like of herself.
Oh.
Or is she in the Zoom meeting using her iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
never
using
mind.
the iPhone as her webcam. Yeah.
What I would do is I would have the meeting with you on my webcam, and then I would put my
Right.
my iPhone next to it on a tripod, and
Right.
you would get really great quality.
Right. That's interesting.
And two
Okay,
views that you could use in editing.
Are you saying choose the iPhone as the Zoom camera?
That's what she does. She uses it in
So
what's it
it
called?
comes through Zoom.
Continuity something.
Yeah,
like
but
that?
that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting using your iPhone as the whole recording package, like the camera in the iPhone, the recording goes to the iPhone, then sharing the file afterwards. You would get superior quality for sure.
How much can you do that? I thought the iPhone didn't have enough storage for that.
Mine does. You
And
can also
It depends on the iPhone.
the iMac Pro also supports USB-C hard drives external, so you can hook up. I can hook up a hard drive to my phone and have as much storage as I want, and record in ProRes 4K.
Cool.
David Brady is mentioning that Zoom records at 25 frames per second, and that the editing compatibility toggle ups it to 30 frames per second. He thinks, which is helpful.
Unless you're in England.
Unless you're in England. Fred, did you want to jump in?
I was just going to ask, so if you're using your iPhone as the webcam, you can't go into the Photos app and record video at the same time?
I don't think so. Can you?
I think one or the other controls your camera, and I don't think that both can at the same time. But that's a good question, and I don't know.
That's why we're here. We should test it.
Well,
right.
Someone have a phone? Hold on a second. I have a phone. Let me join the meeting. I have no idea what I'm
But you're
logged
talking
into.
about joining as another instance on your phone, and I was talking about just using the phone as your camera. In other words, when you go to
right.
That's
Sorry.
what I was saying too.
Yeah. No. You're right. I don't even know. I've turned off continuity camera because it drove me crazy, so I can't test this.
I don't know what continuity camera is. Mine just shows up in my video.
That's continuity camera, I think, or I think that's what they call it.
Continuity cameras when you have an iPhone and an Apple computer that are both of sufficient operating system. You can use your iPhone as the camera for your computer.
Mm-hmm. I was really shocked when I went to change my camera from the internal to the external one that I have, the PT Zoom I have, and all of a sudden there was my husband's iPhone, and what? And it was pointed at the ceiling. What? So anyway.
His iPhone connected to your computer as the camera. Interesting.
Unbeknownst to any of us. Yeah.
Wow.
When we get done with this discussion, I do have two questions to
yeah. So let me just let me put a bow on it. So first of all, thank you. I did not mean for us to spend so much time on this, but start local record first, then you can start cloud recording. When you do that, even if you've started, I started local on my host machine. I started cloud on my co-host machine. When I did that, both machines, the stop record button stops everything. Stops all the recordings. You don't have individual control over those records anymore. And
David, if I can say this, it stops all recordings for all the co-hosts.
For all the co-hosts.
So the way we've gotten around it is if there's someone who's recording locally and we want some recordings to go further, but they want to stop, they leave the meeting. They don't stop the recording. They just leave the meeting. That stops the recording on them, but it doesn't mess with anybody else. That's the only way we have found to make it work, but it works.
David, I would suggest
it's a great hack.
You do the local on the co-host machine and the cloud from the host machine.
Why?
Because when you will, you have a machine come in, it's going to request remote recording capability. You grant that as a host machine, and then that gives the ability to start, stop, pause as you need to on that machine. And your host machine is controlling cloud recording. And so when you stop cloud recording, the local recording that's off of this other co-host account, or even if you grant it to an attendee, should not stop.
No, but
That's
it does.
what we just experienced here in this meeting when I requested local recording capability.
But I think it did stop.
It stopped.
It does stop. It stops for all the co-hosts. As long if you're not a co-host, and I think I don't know if you or Jason are a co-host or not.
No.
I wasn't, and my recording is constant. It's continuing throughout.
No,
the
you
meeting.
are a co-host, Robert.
On my Mimo Live test
The
machine.
Memo Live. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm just an attendee that had requested permission.
Gotcha.
And so I am able, like right now, I can start it, I can pause it, I can stop it.
You can stop it. Gotcha.
And if you you're recording to the cloud, when you stop that recording, it should not.
It didn't affect yours. Yeah.
Correct.
The reason, just so the reason I didn't do it that way, which makes a lot of sense. The reason I did the cloud on the other machine is because the other machine is where I run ZoomOSC or ZoomISO, which is always in gallery view, and local record, as I understand it, is reflective of what you're looking at.
What
Am
your
I right
screen
about that?
is.
Yeah. And so I wanted speaker view for the local record. So that's why I did that. Hasmukh,
Right.
did you want to jump in?
Yeah, as Monty Python says, and now for something completely different. So I thought I'd give you some feedback on that companion issue I had about 2-3 weeks ago about showing up the gallery position names when I use ZoomISO. Robert and I did a bit of troubleshooting, and I figured out what the problem was. Oliver has set up a test site that you can join and have these virtual AI characters. And what it does is Companion works if you use target view when you join that meeting. But if you use gallery view, it doesn't populate the names on your companion. When I join with ZoomISO any other meeting, it does populate the name. So gallery position does not work when you join that particular Oliver's test meeting. Just for your information.
Yeah, that's
That
not
is so important. Where would we get this from if you hadn't told us, Hasmukh?
But that's not the only thing. The other thing is that you can't, if you're testing, you have to use the recording capture mode in that particular meeting, because that they have it set up that that's the one that they give automatic authorization to. Yeah, instead of live.
You can use the streaming option.
Right.
And obviously you can't switch on your own camera.
Right. So, Lois, you had a couple things?
I do. One is there was someone here with the name Mary Faith. Was that a real person that somebody knows, or was that just a drop-in, or what? The reason I asked that is Mary Faith wrote to me directly and asked questions, and then put a question in the Q&A, but never spoke or interacted with the rest of the world. So I do have the question. Yes, Pete.
I got a message through Zoom. She wanted to control my camera.
I think she was one of our bombers, because we had noisy audio channel come from her, and Mike took care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I'll give you a brief update about Miss Mary.
We are still broadcasting, just mindful.
Yeah. Miss Mary is seems like she was interested in the beginning, but seemed to leave her computer unattended. Thus, the reasoning, we ended up hearing the extra chatter, and I moved her to the waiting room. And she
And I had several attempts at wanting to control my camera. In fact, it's still there, and I just declined every time.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about controlling cameras, though. Okay, so forget that then. I won't
And
ask a question.
Just really quickly, Lois, I just want to say that for all the times that I've complained about all the pop-ups warning us about, recording and live streaming, this and that, it just shows you how really vital those are, and for everyone's safety. So thanks for letting me jump in.
Okay, so the question that I came with today is, on my latest version of Zoom, I hate it. I have this gallery view. I have all you people. It's wonderful. There's nothing breaking one frame and the next one. They're just like that. So if you go to take a picture and then extract one of those for something, it's really hard because everything is just butted up against each other instead of having a nice little gap between them. And the other thing
Wait
is,
a second. Was there a gap before?
yes, a little black line.
Really?
You all don't see little black lines now, do you?
I don't know that I ever saw them before. In gallery view.
In gallery view, yeah. Because there are frequently times when with this class when I would they like to have a picture of the class, so I just take a screenshot. And then one buddy was something like, so I'd take another picture and she was okay. So then I'd take this one out and put it in there. But there was always that black border around each thing. It's not there.
If you go sort your gallery, if you go to the sort one, it'll put the black line back there. I just did it.
If I go from speaker to gallery?
Go down to sort and then sort it from A to Z or Z to A or whatever. If you go into the sort, it'll put your little black line back in there.
So
I've never seen anything called sort. What are you talking
about? So I'm gonna show you. Hold on a second. So let me do this.
Oh, is it on the participants list?
No. So here I am here's the meeting. Okay. I'm going to go to view. Let's go to gallery view. If I go back up to view and I go down here, there is sort gallery by. So I'm going to switch that and let's see if we get the black lines. I don't see any difference. What am I missing?
Of course, you're screen sharing now, aren't you?
No, not really. I'm just doing this to my...
I also see no difference.
I don't see any. What are you seeing that we're not seeing, Fred? You have the special version of Zoom.
Maybe let's see, where does it tell me where my version is? I haven't updated in a while.
Oh, maybe that's it. That's interesting.
Where does it tell me where my version is?
If you go up to Zoom Workplace at the top and then about Zoom Workplace.
I'm on a PC.
Oh, sorry.
No, he's still got version 5 and doesn't see Zoom Workplace.
What do you see what do you see? Zoom is the name of the app, or Zoom Workplace?
Zoom.us.
Oh, well, it's Zoom. It just says Zoom meeting in the top.
Yeah, version 5.
Yeah, I'm still on version 5 something. Let's see. There's got to be someplace in here.
It's a version 6 update that Lois is actually talking about.
Okay, well, there you go.
This is an actual, I had no idea.
Okay, so that's one. And the other one is, I like to see who's here and who's talking. And so when I'm in gallery view, I'd say show the names in there. And it does if I move my mouse. But as soon as I stop moving, then within a few seconds, poof, those are all gone and you are all anonymous again. And I have to move my mouse all the time in order to see people's names. So is there a
feature?
way?
That's a feature, Lois.
It's a bug. Is there a way to change that?
Wait a second. You don't have people's names persistently on their...
Not persistent.
No, I do.
No, Lois, if you go into your settings and choose video settings, you'll have an option there.
Okay.
Yes, you'll have an option to always display participant name on their videos.
Which I have had checked for years, and it's now unchecked itself.
Maybe that's what the update did. It unchecked it.
I noticed Zoom 6 release reset some of my preferences, and I think it probably did for other people too.
And by the way,
especially if you had to do a clean Zoom to clear out the artifacts.
And for what it's worth, that's also true for the liminal apps. If you updated ZoomOSC and the other things to the new versions, Not all of these settings are persistent. It cleans some of them for you. I had no idea about the black lines.
Well, thank you for that, fixing the second part, and the first part, I think I'll just need to be grumpy about.
Well,
if you want to take a picture, depending how many people you have, there's immersive view. That's like a class photo. You could do a class photo from.
Or you just log in using tiles, and then you can create as much buffer as you want around each participant.
Or use the Zoom app called Group Photo.
Wait, hold on. You said use immersive view, but I'm not the host. I can't do that.
Oh, well,
Can I?
that's.
Can you do that without being host?
I thought you were the host.
Oh, no. I'm just a mere participant.
Tell the host you want to use it. You can switch from it, like to it and from it, so you don't have to have it for the whole meeting. You say, nobody leave, we're going to take the group photo, switch to immersive view, take the shot, and then end the meeting. So
then that is something that everybody sees. It's not a personal choice as to whether I'm in speaker or gallery or multiple view speaker. It's everybody has to see the same thing, right?
Sorry, why would you want to do? Why would you want to go to immersive view? This is
to take a group photo.
Why? This is.
I'm just saying you can change those backgrounds. You don't have to use that one.
No, I know you can.
Hey, people do it.
This is what a horrible experience.
It's the last dinner.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I hope everybody is pushing those little screen capture buttons over there.
Well, no, and again, ironically, no one on YouTube saw that. We were just laughing at ourselves, right? Because
yes, they did.
No, they did.
Immersive view goes through. That's interesting. Okay, all right, I didn't know that. I thought that was one of those things that
Another way to do it, Lois, is if you have a copy of the recording.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to your recording and you can export a frame, and you can go through the frames till you find a frame you like and export that frame of video.
Yeah.
As a PNG or something.
It's a tremendous amount of work for a group shot.
Well, no, and see, this isn't like we're going to publish the class photo.
Right.
This is like they want to see the faces of the people who were in that room that day. And
I think the app is the best way to do it. You know about the app, yes?
The app.
Sorry, Group Photo.
It's called Group Photo, and it's available in the marketplace. And it's a not Microsoft, Zoom developed app.
So if you go to More.
I have clicked on apps. I don't have it in my More, but I do have it at the bottom of my screen and apps. And I click on that, and
so I've got Group Photo. So I'm going to go ahead and open Group Photo for us. It's going to say, take a high quality group photo together. Works best in meetings with up to 100 participants. I can actually share this with you.
Group Photo app can only be used by the meeting hosts.
Correct.
Please invite your meeting host to use the app to take photos.
Well, they could actually grant you permission, I believe, as co-host. That I have to check.
Actually,
right, so let's take a picture.
Chat. If you look in the chat, there's the button to everyone.
Yeah, I sent it to you. All right, everyone smile. We're going to try this. Take a picture. Okay. Wait, what's going on?
So it sends you this, and when you click the allow button.
Allow.
Oh, wait.
Which one did it capture for me? There we go.
Oh, look at that. So it's, what is it? I don't get it.
So each individual gets it, right? Each individual gets their own picture. Is that right?
Yeah. So
as soon as you click the allow button,
you get a notification. David wants to take your picture. Blue button, allow, and then you get, your screen flashes white.
But now, check this out.
David, when you see the thing, are you seeing each of us separately? I can't see what you're talking about. You're not sharing. You're not spotlight.
Right. Hold on. Let me try. I got too much stuff going on here. Give me a second. Now I'm spotlit. Let me get this over here. Okay. Thank you, Mike. So this is the app. So, but check this out. Photo taken it has everyone's name, and then I can choose to retake. So if I don't like my picture,
Right.
Allow.
Only the host can do that. Correct.
wow,
As soon as you say allow, it goes click.
right.
Retake
And
mine. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
resync mine. I don't like my picture.
you
I'll
don't like
probably
yours?
get a
Okay,
notification.
John, I just clicked you.
Smile before you hit approve.
There's John's. John's
Much
just
better.
changed.
I need plastic surgery to really improve it, but that's okay.
Who else wanted a new one?
I turned my camera on now that I'm done eating lunch.
Fred, is that Fred?
Yeah, if you want a picture of me.
So it's interesting, Fred. So you
Click.
you are in the photo not yet taken, excuse me.
But you can click on his name, can't you?
Can I? I don't know.
Right click.
No, nothing.
I thought there was a way you could click on it and they would be re-given the approve.
Yeah, probably because my video was off.
But
No.
Fred, in your chat, is there the open button group photo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there. So I gotta hit invite your meeting host. So I hit allow.
So
There
it
you go.
automatically
Oh,
doesn't
that was a
take
terrible picture.
cameras that are off. Oh wait,
It's
you just
flat.
took one?
I just took a picture of me. I
There
saw
we
it.
go.
Oh, look at that. There you go.
It's terrible.
Wait, hold on. Fred, how did you do that?
As
He
soon as
accepted your
I
invitation.
clicked on invite meeting host, and then a screen popped up and it said allow. And as soon as I clicked on allow, the screen flashed. So I wasn't even ready.
Well, you
Now
could do-
that
But now he can redo it.
All right, I just sent you a retake.
okay, so here, let me look at the camera this time.
I had no idea this like actually did all of this.
Just did it.
Yeah, there you go.
This
Look at
is
that.
so powerful. It does such a lot. Very cool.
This
All right,
is
now I'm gonna-
fantastic.
Let's see what happens when I create group photo. Oh, okay. I thought
So now
maybe
you
it was
can
gonna,
download it and make it available to the
Right.
members.
I thought maybe it was gonna let me edit, like change the background or something.
Hey, David, upper right-hand corner, blue share button. What does it do?
That's what I did. It sends it to you in the app, in the meeting rather.
Uh-huh, okay.
So this sends
Shares the app.
it shares the app
It shares
exactly.
the app, not the
Yeah.
final product.
So
Right.
Sure.
when
But
you're
now-
taking this and
Hold on
you
one second. Now I can, give me 1 second here. So I have that video. Where is it? Where I have no idea where it's saved.
It's a
Where-
PNG file. Should be in your downloads, I think.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought, but it's not there. All right, well, keep talking. I'll find it.
So when you were
Documents, maybe.
when you were doing that and you got the group photo thing started and you had some pictures and you could retake or whatever, and there was a picture in there of something that was not a human being. It was just something, some mechanical equipment. Could you remove that from the group photo while you were working on the group photo?
So what Lois is talking about is because I was screen sharing, my screen, not screen sharing, but because I was sharing my screen, not through Zoom, it's not a human face. So I'm gonna redo this, but again, I'm gonna go into, just so you all can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna take photo, group photo wants to take your
Smile
photo.
first.
So let's just do it again real quick. Allow. All right. So now we'll have all these photos.
So the question is, can you remove
Right.
you because yours hasn't got your face in it?
Right. So the answer is no.
Retake.
It automatically, well, I could retake it and then change.
Could stop sharing and
Right.
retake it, and then
Right. And then go
We
right
saw the
back in.
flash, Dave.
that was good flash.
You saw the flash?
Yep.
Yeah.
You could see the flash.
The screen turned white and your face, like for an instant, was just like a little bit brighter.
David,
Well,
we
I-
saw your teleprompter. Again, the flash came through your teleprompter.
Is that good or bad?
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Can you adjust the tiles in their position before you hit the blue create?
No, it's interesting. You know, it looks like it almost looks like I could drag them. Like I'm like picking the picture up, but then I can't do anything with it.
Even if you take it all the way down to the bottom?
No.
No.
How about if you reorganize the names underneath the photo taken?
No, the names aren't draggable.
Okay.
Yeah. This is really interesting.
Now, if you could reorganize them, then to Lois's question, you take the picture you don't want and drag it to the bottom and crop it out. And then,
Right.
Put the good one in.
Right.
This is really, really cool.
I still
And
would
Lois,
really
you
like
have
to
all
know.
the white frames around the pictures, so that's what you were looking for.
And that's because he's on a white background. Mine was usually a black background and I had black frames, but the frames are there. I like
Well,
it.
that's because the original Zoom window was black in the background.
Right, exactly. Oh, I wonder if, because I'm using that colored background, if that will make a difference.
You have to pick one of 3 colors. You can't really just go, oh, give me the
But I
old
can go
Windows
black.
layout.
I can go black. I just have to remember where I did that.
I just want to say I can't find any of these downloads. I mean, wait,
Does it say
now
you're not
Robert
done?
wants to take your photo. So you don't have to be host to use this because Robert.
Exactly, that's what I found. I just realized that if I click on the open, I can redo it. And this becomes my photo now.
But you're co-host.
Can you
Yes, I am
download?
co-host.
Oh, he is co-host. Good point. Robert, can you download the photo? I cannot download the photo. I don't know why.
David,
I think you
I
can.
would
You
check
just don't know where
your
to look for it.
what your client is set up as a download folder. Your
But
Zoom
where's your
client.
Zoom recordings go? Go to your Zoom recordings.
No, I checked there also. No, what I mean is like it literally is stuck. Like it's preparing to download. I wonder if this is one of those things that it'll download when the meeting's over.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
I mean,
Just
it's actually,
like all the Zoom recordings we've done.
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully I'm not recording anymore.
I've actually used it before and then immediately dropped it into
Oh,
Zoom chat afterwards for people.
Wait. No, my bad. There was a pop-up on the browser.
Asking you
now
where
it
you'd
is.
like to store that file?
No, asking me to give permission.
Permissions.
Yeah.
It's a Mac.
Yes, it's a Mac. And so there it is. And now I just shared that in the chat.
That and for non-Mac users, that can happen to you also depending upon how you've set up your browser. So in Chrome and Firefox, and I think maybe in Edge, I don't use that one as much, but yeah, you can get a permissions window, and then you can get a locations window after that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that's a really good solution for you, Lois. That's a great one.
Yeah, and I wasn't even asking that question. This is amazing. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And then we can download it from chat.
There
I
you go.
just did, and it's in my downloads file saying ZTK group photo. Suppose I better put a date on that.
So, I mean, we can wait on the release notes because next week we can actually play with everything. But, I don't know. What do you all think?
We certainly had a full and joyous sort of meeting today. You know, we never got through the initial introductions. I haven't met Fred. Pete hasn't said anything. John is there or not.
Yeah, I don't really want to hear what John has to say. I mean, John, sheesh.
You actually met me a while ago. I haven't been on here probably in about a month or so. I pop in occasionally when I have a Friday afternoon available and I can come and hang out. But I've been here 3 or 4 times.
And yes, we love you, John. And Pete. kind of popped in a little late. Good
Yep.
to see you.
James is
too.
there too. James came here.
James, how you doing? Hey, here's something interesting. I had this week, let me see if I can find the person's name. I was invited by Zoom, I wonder if anyone else was, to participate in an interview for 45 minutes about using Zoom, I guess. It was called an SMB. I'm guessing that's
Small and medium business.
Yeah, user interview with Shinhei Bang. I have to say she was an excellent interviewer. Like really, I know that she was following a script, but she actually made me feel like she was listening to what I said and cared about what I was saying. I was really impressed. And it was just about, what tools am I using? Not just Zoom, outside of Zoom. Why am I using those as, like, for example, Calendly versus Zoom Scheduler? What would lead me to use Zoom Scheduler? It was a fascinating, I really enjoyed it. Has anyone else done that?
But
I've done a couple.
You're a small business, a small medium business, and you've got the ZTK T-shirt.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had no idea what ZTK was. No
Ray
idea.
is probably another owner of a small to medium business, right? Ray?
Well, small. I mean, there's just one of me. But David, I think you've got access to a business account, so that might have brought you up in the pile. But they do reach out quite often to people who are using specific tools, and before they even go into design, sometimes that they've done some design on paper, and they'll have sort of like a focus group, individual 4 or 5 people or 20, I don't know. And I think that's how I got my Zoom T-shirt.
I'm not getting a T-shirt, although I'd be happy with a T-shirt. But they are paying me $100.
$100. I only got 50 the one time I got.
Yeah,
That's
they
because
did
you're a small and medium business.
It's funny. I absolutely did not do it for the $100. I love participating and stuff like that. And but in any case, she was very sweet about it. Yeah, I would have been very happy with the T-shirt. Zoom folks, in the future, if you'd like me to do something like that, all I need is a T-shirt.
I had the choice between a $50 gift certificate or the T-shirt, and I said, "Send me the T-shirt."
Well, so, Mike, you've been working overtime over there.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, just really appreciative of you. Just really very, very grateful that you're here and helping out like that.
And I was going to say too, I'm a lucky person that I officially filled out, because I was one of 10 at the Zoom Developer Conference to win a Zoom very fancy coffee mug.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I filled out the thing afterward also. I didn't get a coffee mug. That's fantastic. That's great. That's great.
I guess I was more critical, maybe, David. I don't know.
I heard mixed reviews of the developer conference from folks.
That is correct.
It was interesting. In any case, I enjoyed the sessions. I'm not a developer, but I went to a couple and I enjoyed them.
Yes. So did you go to see Andy?
That's the one I really wanted to see. Yeah. Hey, Robert, any luck with the Mimo live testing?
Yeah, there is an option that says I can select not the active speaker, but the automatically select the speaker. There's a difference between active speaker and automatically select, and that keeps a constant audio trail of all of the sum. So I've been listening to that.
That's interesting.
And I've been playing with it and listening to see if they're because I've got the feed into one of my ears over here. So I was listening to see if there is a if more than one person speaks, can I hear all 3 of them, for example, or just 2, or 4, 5, and it works perfect. So that's exactly what I wanted. That's the sum of the feeds, and then so I'm going to keep that as the main audio, And then where I have individuals who are giving a longer talk, I'll just switch to them with their audio, with their isolated audio, and then I know I'll have a clean feed then. So that's been a good learning curve. And the beauty about doing it at that point is that there's no latency, there's no delay or lag between the audio and the video. So that's perfect.
That's great. And tell me again what the name of the audio file of the persistent audio?
Just 1 second, please.
Oh, sorry. Being able to listen to one thing and while you're talking, like translators do, that is such an unbelievable skill. I can't even listen to myself.
Called automatic mode. So
automatic mode.
Okay.
Is that sort of like video
active...
audio follows video? Is that kind of what that is?
No, it's not, because automatic mode seems to be the video changes to the speaker, but the audio is constant it's the sum of all of the ISO feeds.
Gotcha.
So that's what I was looking for, because that's in Mimo Live, so it's in sync. When I was doing it outside, I was losing the sync.
Gotcha. Great. Frank, anything else? Pete? John, Ray?
David, I got one quick thing I kind of discovered today by accident. Since I upgraded to 6.1.1, the Zoom app calendar has stopped showing my Outlook calendar entries. So for about a week, they've just disappeared. All of the Zoom entries are in there, but my Outlook sync hasn't worked, and I've tried a couple of times to get, reacquired the Microsoft 365 sort of a thing, and I just happened to find an entry in the Zoom community this morning as I was, looking for it, that apparently the engineers have figured out there's a problem, and there will be a fix out on Monday, the 22nd, to the Windows version. So I would expect 6.1.2, and that supposedly will fix that issue, and it's a MS 365 integration issue.
Wow. Good catch.
I've had to go to my actual Outlook calendar to start meetings this week. It's a pain.
It's amazing. James, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just give you this kind of view really quick, but you can see my camera's not all that wonderful. Anyways, so we have noticed that our Google plugin for syncing the calendars had just recently disconnected for most people. And we've seen that before, where you have to go into your calendar Zoom plugin setting, sign out and sign back in. But I'm wondering if that issue you're talking about is more than just the Windows 365, but carries
it's
over.
possible. I'd say update on Monday when the new version is out, and if you still have that problem, hunt me down on the Zoom community and we'll figure something out.
James, I can confirm that right now my Gmail, aka Google Calendar, is in sync with my Zoom Workplace latest version.
And when I sign out and sign back in, it resynced it, and that's kind of been a very kind of, I would say, relatively common thing. That it happens enough times, but it's just that it happened to so many. So if I'm looking on the back end at the dashboard, I will see all these meetings that say Google not synced, Google not synced, Google not synced, and I think when it's not synced, you only get 30 days after the creation date, as opposed to normally when you schedule a meeting and you have a specific date for it, because all those dates schedule for December 31st, 1979 because it's their template date.
Okay. Now the question would be what type of Google account you have would be a question as well.
Educational. It's
Okay. And have they put any restrictions on that that might be preventing the sync? Or if you're part of that department that takes care of that?
well, I guess I'm part of the department, but I don't think anyone's in the know of how to do things on that. So
Okay. Frank, anything?
so maybe it's something that
I'm having a similar issue with Microsoft Office 365 and calendars. When I use Exchange, it works. When I use Office 365, it doesn't. My group's not in charge of mail where I work. And I know when I set up Exchange and my calendar with Zoom, the Office administrator for my employer had to approve it from the Microsoft admin panels. So you can set it all up in Zoom, and then when it hits the Microsoft servers, if the admin hasn't approved it, it's not going to work. So maybe your Google administrator has to give up permission.
Now, I will add a quick caveat today. You might have heard about a big outage that is on the quote unquote internet. It's not the internet. Let's be fair. All right. Everybody that you're hearing on the different news outlets that are specifying internet, the internet is not broken. Nobody has been hacked. It is antivirus. It is an antivirus company. I'm trying to remember. Cloudflare, I think, is coming to my mind.
CrowdStrike.
Right.
Thank you. And they are the ones. If your company is using them, and you're using them on their PCs, on your corporate PCs, then you will be affected, and it is a driver-based problem that you're having in Windows, not Linux, not Mac. So how did this affect Office 365? I just want to make sure that everybody understands. When it comes to Office 365, the Office 365 servers, and this is still yet to be talked about by Azure, are also using that to prevent things happening on. Yeah, thank you, Roland. Everybody can look at that BBC article. That was a good one. And just to let everybody know that what Ray is talking about and what James are talking about is not because of today. When it comes to Office 365, that's very, very important. As Ray said, this has been going on for at least a week that he's noticed. Now, when it comes to Google syncing with my client, I haven't had any problems. And again, we're using the Google Enterprise. In your case, if you're doing the education one, we're doing the enterprise one. I don't know if there's any differences there. There might be. But again, because we are the administrators on that, we had to go in, and I don't specifically remember where, but there was a setting that we had to go in on the enterprise side to make sure that we allowed for third-party apps to be able to come in. And there was, I believe, a list. That's the only thing I can remember off the top of my head. But we haven't had any sync issues since we made sure that once everybody did migrate over to using the Zoom Workplace version, there was a bit of a problem between 5 and 6. So you got to also take that into consideration, which we were talking about earlier when Frank was talking about some of the preferences did disappear. We did have certain employees that did lose the sync when they went from 5 to 6. So we did notice that as well. So you may want to take that in consideration when you're doing your troubleshooting, James.
Yeah, I mean the problem is, like, we haven't really, the people who are the Google admins are not kind of around us, and we can send a task to them, but I don't think they'd understand what we tell them, because they don't like to be told what to do.
Administrators. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. We are stubborn at times. Yes, yes, we are. I can vouch for that from my years, many, many years. But yeah, that would be my first thing, is to check in with them, at least have them rule it out in one way or another. And if not, then at least you know it might be more the Zoom client to Google issue that, again, as Ray was mentioning, that see next week if that actually does resolve the problem with the latest version. And make sure you do test with the latest version next week. It'll probably come out, Ray, what, Tuesday?
Yeah, they're saying the 22nd.
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay.
Right. And we don't always update our computers all that fast. If you have a Mac, you won't get the most recent update for probably 2 weeks. I do have another question.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say real briefly, as long as we're talking release notes, there's also an update to Zoom events coming out on the 22nd. See the release notes there for a bunch of little things, and good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Ray and I were already privy to some of that stuff as of the meeting this week. Go ahead, James. You had another question.
Yeah, just a person with a 2018 Mac 13-inch MacBook. I believe that those were a little bit underpowered graphically, because I think they might. But anyways, with updating to Sonoma and all that kind of stuff, they are kind of seeing a video tearing right now. Does that sound to anyone like, yeah, I can see that happening because it didn't seem to happen in Google Meet, and it doesn't happen with their internal camera, but it does seem to happen on multiple USB cameras, like the Logitech 920. That's the one they have, and I think they tried some other ones too. So, I mean, it seems like this person has gone back and forth between Logitech and Apple, and I don't know, like, terms Zoom, because we would be her administrators for getting her tech support.
Okay. Frank, got any thoughts?
Yeah. Are they using the desktop client?
Yep.
Yep. So I'm going to share my screen.
Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, just give me a second. I got to hide some stuff.
And this might be what I actually told them to try, is turning off the hardware accelerators. And
yeah, that's where I'm going. There's the rendering method and there's the hardware acceleration. So I think if you go down here to advanced, optimize quality of video, optimize quality of video, receive super resolution, use hardware acceleration. So you might want to try some of that.
Now, James, is it only in Zoom or is it in other video apps on the Mac?
As I said, we tried Google Meet briefly, and we didn't see it do the issue. So it could happen in other apps, but they use Zoom, so.
Okay, and you did mention that there is a built-in webcam on the laptop, correct?
Yeah, and they can't, for the purposes of what they're doing, some kind of movement type class, the camera on the computer just doesn't work for.
Right. What I would do for troubleshooting, James, at this particular point, is at least double check to make sure that it works with that webcam as well. If it's tearing with that webcam and tearing with the Logitech, then you know that it might not be a fast enough machine to understand the camera. Now, again, the camera being USB, again, USB is always bad because again, if that USB port is also being used by something else, or if someone has decided to put that USB camera into a USB hub that is also using a lot of USB bandwidth already for something else, that will diminish the video coming from the Logitech.
Right. And they didn't have a hub. We went to the system resources, and it doesn't happen on the internal camera, but I suspect, Apple has certain, what's the word for that? Optimization for that camera.
Again, sure. And what I would do is, depending on the model of the Logitech, I know some, even with the older Logitechs, they do have some software, and I'll use that term loosely, meaning there might be a driver, there might be some sort of software that came with the camera. Make sure that that also is installed, because there might be just something missing for the camera. You never know. And also I would double check with the, now, was it working before they upgraded the operating system on the Mac?
She said this has been happening for a long time for her.
Okay, so
and as I said, she's already gone through Apple, and Apple says it's not us, and she's gone through Logitech, and they say it's not an issue with us. And
okay, then what I would do is, if it could be the bad physical port, meaning for whatever reason, some of the pins on the actual USB on the port itself might not be providing the full bandwidth through. So if she could possibly use another port, again, I don't know Max enough. I'm more troubleshooting as if there was a PC. And double check to make sure that if there is any drivers, to install them. That would be most important too. Again, not knowing Mac enough, I can't tell you if Mac is automatically going to do that or not. I know on the Windows side, Microsoft will do it for the most part, but there are occasions where you do have to go to the vendor, and the vendor will have the right driver for their camera. So you might want to double check that. And you're right, Frank, Logitech is a bit of a mess.
Well, that's not a comment. That's a link to an article on The Verge.
Oh, but yeah, agreed. But when it comes to some of the different drivers and such of Logitech, sometimes the Logitech drivers will actually override Microsoft's in the Microsoft world. So sometimes there'll be conflicts there too, and that will potentially, if two drivers are also fighting each other, that also could cause another problem too.
I would read the article I linked. I've seen lots of people complain about Logitech, and there's 10 different iterations of their software to control their webcams, and doesn't work well. Try a non-Logitech webcam, see if you have the same problem.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's the computer. I think it's the Logitech software.
Also, if you have a Windows machine, you just go to settings and go to camera and pick the camera in Windows, and you can run through any USB camera you have plugged into your Windows machine.
Right. And this is a Mac.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I used to love Logitech, and I had lots of problems with their mice and other peripherals on my Macs over the years, and I actually find Microsoft makes better peripherals for Mac than Logitech does.
Not going to
I put it in the chat. I found this thing called Sync that helped me. We have 4 different versions of Logitech cameras where I work, and this program solved a bunch of my problems. You just load it up and you plug your cameras in, and it goes out and finds anything that the camera needs and updates it to current standards.
Yeah. Lois, did you have a comment?
Well, I think that somebody already just said it, which my first thing was, let's try another camera, and that'll tell you if it's the port, or swap out the cable. Maybe it's the cable, that I'm real big on trying all the different physical parts to it.
Exactly. Yeah. Good comments. And again, that depends on too. I know some of the Logitech models, you get what you get too when it comes to cables. And unfortunately, sometimes the cables are built into directly connected to the camera too. So you might, if that is a bit of the problem too, there could be a bit of a defect or something happened to the cable at the connector or any way along the actual cable itself. So it's quite possible that something got pinched and it's just not sending everything properly.
If you go on the Zoom community, you'll see lots of people complaining about Logitech Brios and other Logitech cameras with Zoom. And most people blame Zoom, and then they find out eventually after they try some different Logitech iterations of their driver control panel that they get a resolution, but no pun intended. But I don't think it's Zoom. I think it's Logitech's software drivers.
Oh, I enjoyed the pun intended there, Frank. I did.
And I don't know. I mean, because she just said she's been having the problem for a long time, and she went to Micro Center, and she said she tried a whole bunch of different cameras. The only thing is, when you try a whole bunch of different cameras at Micro Center, they might be all Logitechs, right? So, and I know that the Logitech software is not a wonderland. I've had the C920 and the Brio, and I use them as like a last kind of resort. Although today I'm using a Marshall camera. This is a Marshall camera, and I don't have it set up right, but apparently I don't have my Black Magic set up to work today. So, oh well.
There are definitely better cameras, I think, than Logitech. The Insta is good. I've got a Huddle cam. I've got a what's it called? The tiny 4K Osbot. There's lots of other cameras out there. Even a DSLR or something, can be a nice camera. But I would try a non-Logitech camera and just see if you can recreate the problem. If it goes away, then you may have to look around for the right Logitech driver software package, and there's like 10 or 12 of them. It's very confusing, and they all have similar names. But anyways,
anybody here use the OWL cameras?
I do know of people that will put the OWL camera on the middle of a conference table. They are okay.
They're not the best.
They're not the best when it comes to resolution.
They are not the best, and they're kind of funky, they're kind of hokey, but the software updates keep getting better. But if you like something fun, it's got little eyes, it hoots at you when it boots up.
Yeah, I want a camera that has good resolution and is reliable. I really don't care about all that fun stuff.
Yeah, this is for corporate people.
I know. Really. Sorry, go ahead. The OWL's whole point is it takes, like, you're sitting around a conference table, you stick it in the middle, and it tries to figure out who's speaking.
Yeah, it's an auto follow tracking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought about doing that in the Quaker meeting because, we sit in a circle. But you would have to put something in the middle of the room, and then you'd have to have all the other stuff with it. And we decided that's a little disruptive. And we thought about putting it on the edge of the room, of the circle, so it would be looking at different people like this. But when you get to someone at the far side of the room, the microphone wasn't good enough with the OWL. So if we got a separate microphone, well, then OWL isn't listening to it, so it doesn't know where to point. So after all of that discussion, we decided, nah, we'll just have a plain old camera. We'll deal with poor quality images, but we'll have really good sound. So we got a Yeti Nano and in the Omni position, and it works really well.
And they're very proud of their OWL cameras. They're almost $5,000 each.
Yeah, they're definitely pricey. And again, as Fred was saying, yeah, those are definitely made for boardroom tables where you're sitting around either a round table or an oval table, and you're in a fairly small-ish boardroom. Because again, the owl will not be very happy with you trying to pick you up if you are a good distance, as Lois was talking.
You can get satellite microphones for the owl and extenders, but I just for $5,000 or even a couple of grand, or I would probably buy something else like a Neat Bar or some of the other competitors. We have a Logitech Rally that works pretty good, and it does auto tracking and stuff too. So I don't know, like there's lots of competition in that market space.
Yeah, we use the rallies, the meetups, and I forget what the third one is. We're kind of gone all in with Logitech stuff at the place where I work. So that's why I was saying about that sync program, because I found that and it fixed a bunch of my software issues when I first got those cameras, because they were obviously older stock. As soon as I took them out of the box, I already had to go up like 3 generations of software.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's an Insta360, not the one that is a PTZ, but there's one that just constantly does 360. Because I know someone uses that for a specialized purpose. Do you know if they work like in a conference room to kind of where you just have that in the middle and then it will spotlight people automatically?
If you're talking about the Insta360 360 kind of action camera, is that what you're talking about? Because
yeah,
they're not really meant for video conferencing, and Zoom probably wouldn't interface well with it.
Doesn't it just give you like a panorama view?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it can make 360 stitched videos, same as GoPro Hero. It's for making videos and photos that are 360.
Yeah.
To an SD card, and then it's not really meant for live streaming or anything of that nature.
Yeah, James, you have to take into consideration that the software that you're bringing it into, aka in this case Zoom, would have to now allow that person to be able to move within that 360, which Zoom obviously doesn't, be able to grab onto the video and actually move you around in the 360, right? So
right, I was thinking of how the Neat, some of the Neat products, they automatically do kind of like an individual view of each person, without having to, track. It just automatically does that. So I didn't know if there was some kind of automation, but yeah, you're probably right on that 360. The use that the person was doing that with was more for a recording kind of thing. I just wasn't.
We have both in my department. We support both, but I think the other thing you're talking about might be Active Director, where the camera's seeing the whole room and chopping certain active speakers up and putting them up in a sort of like what Zoom does.
Like that. Yep, something like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's good about the situation I'm in with the Quakers is that they don't want to have like speaker view. They just want to be able to identify the people and sitting in the room. And if you're physically sitting in the room and the people are 50 feet away from you, you're not going by, facial recognition. You're going by, well, I know what they wear and what color their hair is and how they walk and stuff like that. And so works really well not to try and get close-ups.
Yeah, I didn't think of that part too. I don't fully know all the details of, but as you say, like I think there's I don't know. I shouldn't suppose what I know of other beliefs, but anyways, it's best to be there in the room, right? That's how you sharing. No, okay.
Hybrid's the worst.
I prefer to be on Zoom.
Hybrid's the worst. Either be fully online or be fully there, but hybrid's always the most complicated.
Yeah, stitching everything together, James, becomes the problem at that particular point, which is making sure that both worlds are seeing everything, right? So as
Or
soon as you do
not.
the hybrid stuff, you need to make sure that you take into consideration everything locally as well as everything virtually too.
The hardest thing about hybrid is the audio.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Why
again,
is that?
Why is that?
Yeah, why is it hard?
Mix minuses, audio feedback, those kind of problems.
Okay, I have a question, really basic question. You guys keep saying a mix minus. What the heck's a mix minus?
A mix minus is when a device or software sends you all the sound from the meeting. So in this meeting, you're hearing everyone's audio in your speakers or headphones except your own. Zoom is sending all of our audio to you, but it's not sending you your own audio. That's a mix minus.
Okay. And how is that a problem?
Because if you're in a location with speakers, like let's say a classroom that has big speakers on the wall, and you don't do a mix minus, you immediately get horrible audio feedback, which you've probably heard PA systems at speeches and stuff where someone stands too close to the microphone and it can hear itself, and then it creates an infinite audio loop and squeals and makes all kinds of horrible sounds. That can easily happen in a classroom or a meeting room if you don't have a mix minus. Usually either you have a talented audio person who's on a mixer and doing a mix minus, or it might be automated in the AV hardware that's in the room and it'll do the mix minus automatically for you. And Zoom does mix minus as well.
So I don't have problems with this. So I have one microphone, which is cardioid, so it's getting everything except directly behind it. And then I have on the floor, I have a speaker, and anything that some people say on the computer in the Zoom meeting gets projected through the speaker so people in the room can hear it. So I think it's just because we're going so simple, but I don't see how we can get
it. Lois, you're right. You are doing it properly, but you've got to be careful in the regards of you've made sure that you've like you're not doing sound for musicians, are you?
No.
In that situation? Right. Okay. So you are now making sure that Zoom still is doing the mix minus for you.
Right. And
so it's not going to cause that feedback. But if you did do musician sound for professionals, or I keep forgetting what they call it now, but if you do that mode, automatically that disappears, and you will have to be careful now that you don't, because again, they
put the
will
microphone next to the speaker like it was in the old times. Yeah.
But
Right.
you can overwhelm Zoom's mix minus and audio echo cancellation. If you give it too much feedback or too much, Zoom will start to crack too. It's good, but it's not invincible.
Yeah, I think we did pretty well as far as the microphones up on the top of the cabinet, and then the speakers down on the floor. So they're physically separated up and down, and it seems to work okay.
But if you're in a large room and you have lots of sound reinforcement, so let's say you have 8 or 10 speakers in the venue, and you don't have something like a DSP doing mix minuses for you, you're quickly going to get audio feedback.
Yeah, and we don't have any of that. When people speak, they stand up in the room and they say their piece, and then they sit down. And you hear them, or if you're on the wrong side of the room, maybe you don't hear them very well. But the only thing I've had to be careful of is that when we choose the Yeti Nano as our microphone, that we put the setting in there that says adjust it automatically. And that way, if the person right next to the cabinet stands up and speaks, their voice is loud. But if the person way across the room stands up and speaks, their voice is soft. But yet, in the Zoom meeting, they're both fine. We can hear
That's
them.
just auto gain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely, it's good that you've been able, but again, Lois, you've trialed and errored this, right? So this is practice, 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 right? It wasn't.
Well, no, I came to the Zoom test kitchen 3 years ago, whenever we started this thing, and got some advice. And then I kept going, no, we want it simpler. No, we want it simpler. and plus I've done other audio. So I mean, it's like the logic was in my head. But,
Right.
No professional's going to use a Yeti Nano for room audio.
No, they aren't. But in our room for our little meeting.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you're in a controlled-ish environment, Lois.
Yep, absolutely. Right. It's a silent meeting, and then people stand up and say something. So it is pretty silent.
Right. So it is a fairly controlled situation that you're in. So that is definitely good. And of course, on the live event side, definitely the best, of course, is never to have microphones in front of the speaker or near a speaker or anything funky like that. And of course, Lois, you know that from just all the years that you've done stuff. So you know that already. So you're already halfway, where other people just go, oh, what's this? And they go, wee, let's put the microphone in front of them, the speaker. And then they go, wee, and they wonder what that funky noise was. Well, that there's feedback for free. Yeah.
We started out and somebody said, oh, well, we've got this microphone that you pass around so that whoever's going to speak, they get the microphone. And they said they tied it to a stick. So they had a microphone and a stick that they would then pass around to people. And it was like Bluetooth kind of thing. It was just not very good.
Yeah, they've actually come out. There actually is a really cute thing. If you do need such unit, there is a little box unit that you could actually put a microphone into now. It's soft, and you can actually throw it to people.
It's called a catch box.
Thank you.
We have a couple of those.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't like them because most of the people that I'm in meetings with have a laptop on a tab arm. And if you can wipe out someone's $3,000 laptop really easy with one of those, or hit their coffee and knock it flying all over the room. So I'm not completely thrilled with those.
Right. Again,
rolling with the
mileage will vary, obviously.
But you can put a really good microphone in there. You can put a Sony or Sennheiser or whatever you want in there.
Yes, the clarity of the components that are within the catch box are unreal. Yes, absolutely.
But they're still going over the airwaves rather than being wired, right?
Correct. You'd be again, depending on the wireless kit that you would actually put in the catch box, would be either majority of the pro ones would be UHF frequency.
Hopefully diversity.
Correct. Yeah.
So Frank, you're not a fan of the Yeti Nano.
I'm not a fan of it for using it as a room mic. It's meant as a personal mic.
Yes, but it has an omnidirectional thing so that
that's usually what that's for. Is if you sit at a small round table or a coffee table and the people are let's say roughly 2 feet from the microphone in any direction, that's why it has an omni, but it's not meant to capture audio from 40 feet away.
So what would you recommend as a microphone other than this in the situation where you're going to have to people talking at 2 feet away and people talking at 20 feet away and Zoom?
Well, you're not going to like my answer because it's going to cost money. I use professional solutions, so professional solutions cost more. I would either do something like a city council meeting situation where everyone's got a mic in front of them. And that way the microphone's about, maybe 6 inches from their mouth, or I might use something called a PZM on a table, which is a pressure zone microphone. There's ways to do this, but if you're just sort of a volunteer society or something, you don't have a big budget, then that's not really available to you, right?
And you never know who's going to speak. In other words, in many meetings for worship, there's no one speaking. Until at the end, the clerk announces something.
Sure.
But someone speaks. It could be anyone in the room who stands up and says.
So what we use a lot are the Shure and Sennheiser both make these acoustic tile things. They look like ceiling panels, and they go in. If you go into a lot of classrooms or meeting rooms, they have these drop ceilings with the sort of the grid, and then they've got the whatever that stuff is, acoustic tile they've got microphones that are exactly that shape and dimension, and they go into the ceiling, and then the microphone has what's called lobes. So some of them have like 8 lobes, and you can aim them around the room, and they do automatic sound detection. So then you need a DSP, which is a digital signal processing box that has logic in it that says, okay, I'm listening to this from 4 different microphones. That's the loudest source in the room. And it has AI in it. It goes, that is human speech. It's not a bag of chips. It's not the ventilation system. And it turns on the microphone that's closest. And it might even aim the lobe at the microphone. So those are the kind of things we're using. But that usually requires professionals and budget.
Yeah. Those are really neat, Lois. But again, yeah, Frank is absolutely correct. When it's all depending on budget, right? In your situation, if the budget is around that cost of that microphone, then you've done what you can do at that price point, right? Without going, you'd almost have to double your budget to get into something closer to even, what Frank is talking about. You'd probably even have to triple your budget because you'd have to have people install stuff too.
In our situation, it's not realistic because there aren't professionals in the group who would be able to handle the system, troubleshoot the system, even put it together in the first place. So we're happy that we have what we have. It's a much better system than it was when they had Chromebooks and this little wand. So anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. What all were you all talking about?
Well, we're just talking about talking, but actually Roland's got a question for us, and I'm going to actually read it out to everybody, and then we can answer that. And probably he's going to be asking me because I'm sort of the vMix geek per se, I believe, out of whoever's left. With vMix, what is the up and down minimum bandwidth needed to ingest 4 users for the Zoom integration?
I think you missed the first half of the question, which is right above that.
That dynamic would change if someone in the room joined the Zoom meeting and the audio is heard, or was it?
I think that's from the previous conversation we're having.
That was I think more specific to us talking about audio in general in the actual room. But so to answer Roland's question, you have, and let me just get my quick notes on bandwidth, maximum information. When it comes to vMix, where are we here? I wrote it down and I'm not finding it right now. But so when it comes to bandwidth, and we're talking, previous discussion. Okay, so when we're talking, what is the up and down minimum bandwidth? Well, minimum bandwidth would be 720p resolution. Well, no, sorry, minimum bandwidth potentially actually would be the 360p resolution. So that would be your minimum bandwidth. And not sure going off the top of my head what the actual bit rate is for the 360p feed that Zoom is sending. But I'm thinking it's probably around, I'm thinking 1.5 megabit, maybe 2 tops megabit at 360. I'm pretty sure they are doing 720 at around 2.5 megabit. The way to check would be to pin me or Fred right now, and you'd be able to see what in the stats, if you're looking at the statistics of the client that you're in right now. And if you want to do this, Fred, too, everybody can do this as well. You can do this on YouTube as well when you're checking this out. You could actually, once you're in the meeting, you can actually see if you actually pin me as an example, or pin Fred, anybody running video, so that you get the true information. You'll actually see, if you go into statistics, I hate saying that word, so hopefully that came across, in the stats tab in settings, you'll be able to actually see specifically what the bit rate is right now coming in. Now, Zoom.
Where's the settings tab?
So if you go in, so Fred, you're on Windows, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to go into at the bottom. Are you up to 6.1 or are you still on 5?
I'm still on 5.
Okay, so if you see the icon where your Zoom icon is in the taskbar, beside your volume button.
Oh, down there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, right mouse click on that, go to settings.
There it is. Okay. Yep.
Okay, and then you'll go into stats. There should be stats.
Statistics.
Okay.
Yep. So 3058 send, 4695, almost 47 receive.
Right. So there's your.
Oh, and there's
bit
my
rate.
version. I'm on 5.17.
There you go.
That was what I was looking for earlier. So I'm pretty old.
Right.
When
Pretty
I-
old is. Yeah.
When I
What,
pin you, I get 1080 from you,
Yep.
and
Yep.
when I pin Fred, I get 720.
Again, it's based on Fred's camera.
It's on my camera. My camera's 720.
Yeah, again, I'm coming in through my A10 Mini, and my A10 Mini is set up to bring in 1080p 30. That's why you're seeing 1080p with me versus Fred. So again, if you want to, so Roland, this actually is a really good test for you because again, depending on the bit rate or depending on the resolution that you want to receive, if you want to pin Fred, you'll see the 720 bit rate, and on the 1080p, you'll see mine. Now, the reason I'm saying to use to check it in Zoom is because vMix uses the meeting SDK, the Zoom meeting SDK, meaning that the same audio and video bit rates that are used for the Zoom client are also used for vMix, as well as Ecamm, as well as Mimo Live, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyone that has integration with Zoom, that is the bit rate that you'll get per feed. Now, if you want to do 4, of course, you're doing that times 4. Now, with vMix right now, currently, right now, they have a maximum that has been allotted to them, that Zoom has graciously given them, that people can only get maximum 30 megabit per second down. Full stop. No matter the resolution that you choose. Okay, so that could be 20 people at 360. Again, it will depend on the bit rate of that person. And again, of course, in Fred's situation where he's 720 versus me being 1080p, in vMix, of course, you can actually choose which bit rate you want. So if you want 360, 720, or 1080, you have that choice per input in vMix. Where
Are they
Ecamm,
limited to 25 people? We were talking about this earlier with the resolutions in that page that came up. It talked about 25 up to 25 people.
correct. Is that the one that Frank put in?
I think our gracious host put it in there. Let me roll back a little bit.
Right now I'm host, so I don't know if I put any. I know Frank just put in vMix's help for that's version 27, which is the current version.
And it defers to Zoom's bandwidth requirements, which I posted above that.
Yeah, right. And again, right now,
earlier we were talking about recording resolution. Yeah, there it is. So if you roll back, Concord, I can't read his little logo thing there, but he put it in the.
right. But again, that is now again the difference between the two. There is Zoom based versus what they're letting third-party apps use, right? So in-house, they might actually allow them to use more than third-party apps. And right now, vMix has only been allowed to do 30 megabit per second per each vMix attachment to a meeting. Does that make sense? I've tried to make sure that everybody understands that. It's not 30 megabit for all the vMix clients that are attaching to meetings. The 30 megabit per second is based on per vMix attachment to a meeting. And you can only do one at a time per vMix. If that makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't make sense, also let me know.
It doesn't make sense.
vMix also does.
Why are you saying attachment?
Well, when you
use a different word.
Okay, sure. So when I'm connecting to a meeting from vMix,
Right.
I can do up to 30 megabit per second.
Yes, I understand that part.
Yeah. So it's not a maximum company-wide for vMix, for all the vMixes that are attaching to Zoom. It is based on that vMix licensed product that can connect maximum up to 30 megabit per second in one meeting.
Right.
Meaning they haven't been allowed to go up to the next level, which is, I don't know the actual next level, but I do know the maximum level that they could eventually get is 100 meg.
Can two different vMix sessions join the same Zoom meeting?
Equivalent to like multiple Mimo lives coming into one
Exactly.
meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like from two
Yeah.
different.
And do they both get 30 each, or do they have to share the
Yes.
30? Yeah.
No,
So
they
it's
get-
yeah.
they get
So any
30.
particular vMix gets a maximum of 30.
Right.
Yeah. So all right.
Right.
Yep.
Now,
It was
some
just the
people
way
have
you're
gotten-
phrasing it was a little
Right. And the reason I'm
disconcerting.
phrasing it like that is people have been confused saying that, well, I'm not getting all 30 megabit per second. Is that a limitation to everybody that's connecting at that time using vMix to Zoom? And the answer is no. It is per, it might be a bandwidth limitation that you actually have on your pipe coming
Sure.
into the location.
But is that 30 up and 30 down symmetrical, or is that 30 altogether?
And we're not going to allow him to come in, guys, just to let you know. Say that again, Frank, sorry.
Is that 30 symmetrical? Is it 30 up and 30 down, or is it 30 total?
30 down.
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 Okay.
Because you're pulling in the feeds.
Right. You're not sending anything back to Zoom?
Well, you're not sending all the feeds back to Zoom.
No.
You just
but,
send one, if anything.
yeah, but so is
You
it
would never-
30 down and something else up?
Oh, yeah, of course. One, yeah.
Wow,
So
that's what I'm
whatever-
asking.
Sorry, no. Yeah, of course, sorry. Yeah, so again, where Zoom is more limiting them is more on the down versus the up.
Okay.
Right? So the up is going to be the maximum bit rate of 1080p up that the Zoom SDK vMix client will send.
All right. I usually approach this from the other direction. It's usually what happens is I have people who want to
Yeah.
know how much bandwidth they need to join the meeting. And I say, are you presenting or participating? Like, is it a webinar or is it a Zoom meeting? And I
Right.
say, I wouldn't join a Zoom meeting with less than 10 up and down at the minimum. 20 would be better. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have the concept of up and down. They only know about their down. They never worry about their up. But if you want to participate in the meeting, you need good up as well.
Absolutely. Without a doubt in your mind. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And a good, especially if you're pushing 1080p, especially if you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And Zoom also, as Lois kind of mentioned earlier, Zoom only sends, it's very careful with how much bandwidth it uses. If a iOS or Android device joins the meeting, it brings the resolution down for everybody. So
Correct.
somebody has to be in full screen mode in a Zoom meeting to get, the full bandwidth. And then also you can't have any devices that sink you back down to crappier levels.
Correct. And we've tested that previously. And I know when Jeff was around hosting that we actually tested that when people would actually join with their phone and all of a sudden nobody could actually pin anybody.
You're not in
360.
1080p anymore.
Yeah, you couldn't go any higher than 360 at the
Yep.
time. That was a while ago, months ago.
So, depending on if this is the kind of meeting where you can tell people, please don't join from your phone, that would also be helpful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a host, so enroll in your sake, doing some sort of event that you've been hired to do, you would definitely want them to be on a reliable connection, not a wireless connection, wired if all possible, and wireless if you have to, so that you do have the reliability, at least of the wire to the router of sorts. That would be best / ideal. And then, of course, what you're paying for bandwidth from your ISP would be, of course, the next important thing up and down, more in the regards of if you're a presenter, sending it to Roland or sending it to a host, then you want to make sure that you're at least, as Frank was saying, 10 megabit. I would say at least, and that's even pushing it to half, like 5 megabit would be, I wouldn't go for sure any lower than 5, because again, you're already pushing the limits of 1080p. What 1080p is usually around 4.5 meg to 5 meg already. So you're already going to be pushing its limit. So you're almost better to have what Frank is suggesting of 10 meg up. Again, it depends on the type of ISP connections you do have, because a lot of them will give you, 50 down, but 10 up. In your
Or less.
Yeah, it's not symmetrical.
Yeah.
Or less, because it's some government mandate, I forget what it's called, but yeah, if you get, let's say 50 down, you're only going to get like 7 up. Something.
So the other thing, though, I always try to work out with people is time of day. So let's say you're working from home and you test your bandwidth at 3 or let's say 1 in the afternoon, and none of the kids are home, and you're like, oh wow, my internet's really good. Then your kids come home and turn on the Xbox and somebody watches Netflix at 7 o'clock, and that's when the meeting is. All of a sudden you don't have all that bandwidth just for Zoom. Unless your router supports QoS or something, you're not really going to be able to say, give all the bandwidth to Zoom. So time of day is important too for testing.
Yeah, time of day, type of ISP that you're using,
Yep.
fiber versus
jitter,
DSL.
latency.
Yeah, fiber versus cable versus DSL.
Yeah, a lot of people think they have good internet because their numbers are high, but web pages are progressive download, so it's bursty. You might get a bunch of the page all at the beginning, and then you might get the last bits of the page a while later. That's really horrible for bidirectional communication. So jitter and lag are a big deal for meetings that are in Zoom. You might have really fast internet, but it might be very bursty transmission, which ruins the conversation completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you if there is a way, which Zoom does an awesome job, for Frank and I know that we are going through Canadian data centers of Zooms. So that's why we're as reliable as we are. So we're fairly close to Zoom servers, so Zoom's network. But again, depending on the country you are in, you may go to a different country before you actually do connect to Zoom's network. So do also keep that in mind, that the further you will be away from a Zoom data center between your internet connection and their data center, which unfortunately is not your fault, is more Zoom's fault in that regards, for not getting something closer to you. But they can only go so close too. So that is also being fair to Zoom as well.
So let me ask you a question about vMix and Zoom, because I don't use vMix. In Zoom, I can go into my settings and define the data centers that I want to use or not use. Would vMix rely on my settings in Zoom, or would I have to tell vMix what data centers to use?
vMix does not have that functionality built
So it relies on your settings for Zoom.
It is its own, I won't say proprietary client, but it is a specialized client that was made for vMix.
Okay.
So it's not built into vMix.
Okay.
So if you don't need the Zoom integration,
well, I'm specifically talking about the Zoom integration.
Right. So when it comes to the Zoom integration of it,
it would rely on the settings you have in Zoom.
It doesn't look at the Zoom client. It's its own client. So it would go based on Zoom's.
But it's a Zoom meeting. So who's deciding the data centers?
Well, for my clients, it's usually the client, the Zoom client. So
that's what I'm asking.
Client, well, right, but I can't tell it. I can't force it to within the actual client. Not my clients, anyways, unless you know something, Frank, from the inside.
Well, hold on. I'll just keep going. Keep talking.
Sorry,
I'm just looking for some.
Go ahead. On Frank. The data centers, which level accounts you would have to have in order to change the data center? Because certainly not available on Pro.
I have Enterprise, so I'm not sure with Pro what you get. I don't ever use it. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, Mike, just going back to
Sure.
the
Yep.
bandwidth issue, it seems
Yep.
therefore that in calculating the bandwidth that you need, you have to calculate the users coming in,
Yep.
what you're sending back.
Yep.
If vMix is actually doing a stream, you have to factor that also.
Yep.
Okay, right. So okay. It's just
Okay,
that
so-
last weekend I had a friend of mine who encountered a little issue using vMix and Zoom, and I mean it wasn't afterwards when it came back around. I mean, and I asked him, so what's the connectivity at the location?
Right.
And when he showed me what it was, I said, oh well, therein lies your problem. It was just the down was okay, but the up was ridiculous.
Right.
The up they were squeezing them down to either 3 or 4 megabits up, and I was like, no, you just don't have enough up.
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was.
So just for my sake, were they sending back to Zoom?
They were sending back to Zoom and also trying to stream.
Oh, forget it.
Right. And I said,
Forget it. I would even at that particular point, I would be totally in Frank's boat where I would say, you know, when I said 5 megabit, no, for sure, 100% we're 10 megabit now, without a doubt.
Yeah. So once I saw that, and that's why I asked the question.
And even then, I would be petrified at 10 megabit even.
Yeah, to just qualify that. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
I put a screenshot of the data center settings in my particular Zoom situation.
Oh, okay.
So I can, if I turn some of those off, then it's going to hop. Like, let's say you're in, I don't know. Let's say you're in India and I turned off the India data center for some reason. I guess Zoom's going to try and find the next best data center.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So now I know what you're more talking about. I've enabled a lot of these settings as well, depending on where a lot of our people will be meeting from.
Okay.
This setting,
Enterprise Pro business is not available in the Pro.
Yeah. Sorry. I
I
only know the experience of using Enterprise.
Roland, this is available in Pro too. I found that
I'm not seeing that option.
It's not in per client. It's in. You'd have to go into the min side.
It's in account management, account settings.
Account management. Okay.
Yeah, account settings.
Let me go there.
Yeah.
General.
Zoom.
Yeah. So in your case, Roland, because you're based in Jamaica, of course, you're going to be going to US.
The US, right?
Yeah.
Let me just.
So what you would have to enable if you're having somebody from Canada, you would have to make sure you enable Canada as an example. So that I would, as an example, let's say you wanted me to join in, it would be best for you because you're already going to the US, which is already going to be problem number one for you because there isn't anything in Jamaica. Problem number two for me is it's best for me to connect to the Canadian data center. That'll hop down to you in the US data center.
Except for one thing.
Right, yeah, I found it, Frank.
Okay, cool. There is one other thing to consider though. There's a Canadian, for example, I'm just going to talk about Canada. I don't know about Jamaica. If I only use the Canadian data centers for Zoom, you don't get all the features. Some of the Zoom features require the US data centers or you can't use those features. I don't know what the rules are in Jamaica, but I imagine it's the same. At this time, certain functions, I don't know if it's AI, but some of the meeting functions don't work if you don't allow them to be processed in the US data centers.
Agreed.
Okay. Understood. And especially with this whole thing about data privacy and where the data is.
Yeah, we've asked Zoom to add those features to the Canadian data centers, and so far it hasn't happened. They've said, we hear you, but they haven't done anything about it.
Right. Yeah,
because I'd like all of our data to stay in Canada all the time.
Yeah. That is the ideal situation. Well, especially for especially in Frank's situation, our situation, of course, we're trying to keep our data as much as possible in Canada when it comes to a lot of the services that we offer, especially with Frank's situation being a lot more.
Well, I think everybody wants to keep their data in their own country because you understand your own laws and how to, and it's better for you to have your data in your own country if possible. because
Right.
then you can access the legal system in your country when things go wrong. But the way Zoom has it set up, you can't always do that
Yeah.
unless you're willing to give up functionality.
Right. So Roland, you've actually played with vMix a little bit with the Zoom integration, or no at this point?
No, and I haven't, but the friend of mine who was working on that project was.
Good.
So that's,
Okay.
That's why,
Yeah.
that's why I got, I was,
Yeah. So again, my suggestions with that, of course, is that if he's already bringing in local feeds,
Mhm.
he already knows what he needs for local feeds as far as resources are concerned, PC wise.
Right.
I would just make sure that maybe he might want to bump up a little bit, not necessarily in NVIDIA card, but more maybe CPU.
Okay.
Not much. Again, it depends on how much is hybrid versus local versus virtual.
No, it was a one-off event. He was assisting at an event. So I think it just didn't click to him that was the problem.
Right, but was it strictly virtual? Was it local
It was
with
a hybrid. He was sending out and basically, yeah. So
Okay.
he needed to be getting in and he needed to be sending out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the up was restrictive. So, the big pretty figure that everybody quotes, as Frank says, is always a down, but then you have to keep your eyes out on what's
Right.
what's
So
going back.
the most important thing to do for them would be, again, you don't have that many choices in Jamaica, which is unfortunately a bit unfortunate to you. So you're only limited to so many ISPs. But what I would do is, of course, of course, he should always be wired, Ethernet wise, from the vMix machine, and not run any wireless whatsoever. The other suggestion too would be to do some speed tests within Jamaica, so that at least you know what that would be, and also do some speed tests by changing the actual speed test server to something in Miami, because you know that you'll be going through your fiber from Jamaica back into Miami. So I would do some server tests based in Miami, speed test wise, to make sure that you're getting there. And chances are Zoom has probably got a data center in Miami, is where you're connecting to.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I'm going to run. Mike, I'm going to run like Frank and everybody else. That's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But good
Thank
listening
you.
as usual, and good information. Thanks.
You're welcome, Roland. Take care, buddy.
Good.
Yeah. James, Pete, anything new and exciting that you want to talk about before we wrap up for the day?
No, just listening in. seeing what
Excellent.
It was. I've never tried vMix yet, but maybe one of these days I will.
Yeah. Again, the only suggestion that I have is if you do test vMix, you may, if you've already played with OBS Studio, it's different. I'll be blunt with you in that regards. So if you play with OBS Studio, great. If you like OBS Studio and can get all your capabilities done, great. Then you might want to stick with it because it's very reliable. Not saying vMix is not, but going up to vMix is a bit of a different learning curve.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because vMix has its own different language within itself.
vMix integrates with Zoom?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. As we speak, reliably, used many, not by myself, but very little to no Zoom integration complaints. As a matter of fact, if you want to check out a guaranteed vMix only Zoom integration show, you could check out a buddy of mine over at Streaming Idiots on YouTube. His show last week was actually strictly done. He usually uses vMix Call, which is also vMix's original version, which They basically just added the Zoom integration on top of using vMix Call as another option, but they've had vMix Call for many, many years. And he actually ran this week's on Wednesday's show entirely using Zoom when he brought in the person. And it was entirely Zoom. He just did a 2-box of himself and the person that he brought in. And that was entirely 100% Zoom.
Okay.
That he brought that person in using vMix.
I'm curious what
Take care, James.
What hardware can integrate with vMix?
vMix, again, what you should do is take a look at the vMix site. If you take a look at the help page that Frank gave in chat, that'll get you started. Take a look at their system requirements in there.
Okay.
If that confuses you, then the best way to go is to go to vMix's main website and look at their what they call their reference systems.
Okay.
And to spec out a similar system that they've already tested with their software, because they also give you the capabilities, what you can actually do as inputs and such. You know, they'll say, you know, this can handle X amount of 1080p cameras, X amount of 4K cameras, X amount of NDI sources. And, you know, vMix has had NDI for years. So the NDI has been in there for a long, long time.
I'm sure.
One of the original guys that did NDI in there.
Great.
They did NDI actually before OBS. They actually did NDI. You would definitely need a half decent system, and preferably depending on what you're doing. If it's going to be virtual, a little less. If it's going to be hybrid or on-site with a little bit of virtual, then you're going to need more. And that's what I was just explaining to Roland, where you may want to look into a little more beefier processor, because Zoom, if you're doing Zoom and doing what the reference system specs are telling you you're already doing, and you want to add Zoom on top of that, of course, it needs more resources. It needs, you know, additional CPU. I've seen more additional CPU that it would need more than GPU, where GPU would be more on NDI and more on capturing video capture using video PCI based video capture cards.
Great, thanks.
No problem. Okay, so on that note, I see TTG and it's only you and I, Pete. So I'll say thanks everyone from YouTube joining us this week. And don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And take care. And next week, as I said, Fridays at 3 p.m., see what's cooking next week in Zoom Test Kitchen. Take care, everybody on YouTube.